The views expressed in this podcast, Champ and Tramp, belong to the host and guest, not the Champ and Tramp podcast itself. It's intended for entertainment information, so please use discretion. We're not responsible for any outcomes resulting from the content discussed.
The two most important things after workout are protein and hydration, especially after an intense session on the mat.
Yep, that's why Muscle Med's designed their new Carnivor protein hydration, packed with 30 grams of protein for recovery and the key electrolytes needed for hydration.
Exactly. What's awesome about these is they come in two delicious flavors, Rocket Pock and Berry Blast.
They literally taste like juice, Frankie. These are amazing and a must for any athlete pushing their limits.
Boom! Grab a 12-pack on Amazon and juice up with Carnivor protein hydration today.
Let's go!
Real show, here we go. Real show, here we go. You know that it's gotta be that time, so this is what we chant. What keeps on getting them all amped in advance? Come on. You and I rocking out with Iron Man, FE. You get the general's point of view on top of Roger's rants. We're never tapping out, we're putting the most minutes in. You already know what that's about, you know that winners win. Crush whatever's on task, check the podcast. It's the champ and the tramp, let the bomb blast.
We got a good guest tonight. My teammate and friend Miguel Benitez. He's a ADCC referee, owns Montgomery BJJ. ADCC referee, NAGA referee also.
So I'm ADCC only,
okay.
And next week I'm going out to Thailand to do the Marcelo's comeback match.
Oh, wow.
For 1FC.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're gonna ref that match, or you don't know yet? I mean,
That's the only reason they're taking me out there.
Wow.
Yeah, for that match. So
that's sick.
So are we going? Like
We're going. We're
Oh,
going.
sir, baby, we're live.
So so that Marcelo thing, man. So I get a text from Tom. Tom doesn't text; he does like voice notes.
Oh, I know.
And he's like, hey, you want to go to Thailand for 1FC? And I always kind of know where Tom's going with this, but I want to make sure there's clarification, so like the lines don't get blurred. And I'm like, yeah, like what are we gonna do in Thailand? I gotta take time off work. He goes, motherfucker, you ain't gonna be a tourist. I want you to ref. I'm like, ref. Like there's only one grappling match on that card.
Yeah.
So Marcelo's comeback, he's like, yeah. I was like, if you can make it happen, dude. I was like, I'm down. I'm not gonna say no to you.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, we're working, we're talking some things. I'll let you know. And then
That's a pretty good impression, by the way.
Dude,
pretty good impression.
Listen, I got a lot of them. I like to do impressions because it's fun for me.
Yeah.
And people think I just pull it out my ass. And then when I moved in with my wife, when she was my girlfriend, she caught me doing like the Sarah Palin, watching like one of the movies on HBO, and I was like going back and forth. And she's like, you practice these? I was like, get out of this room. I was like, don't look behind the curtain. I felt like the Wizard of Oz. I was like, she saw my secrets. But
listen, I hate to toot this guy's horn over here because he's full of himself, but he's got some pretty fucking good impressions.
They're not good. I'm just, it's just that we're comparing myself to Roger, so I'm very good at a lot of things.
I can do a guy from a small town in Maine pretty well. I can do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one ref fell out, and then another one fell out, and then it kept going back and forth, and then I had it. And then I lost it for like a day, and then it came back around. So this morning they put me in the group chat with all the refs and the officials. And I was like, I guess cool. I'm still waiting on the visa to clear. So I'm like, oh my God, we're getting close to it. But if that goes well.
So Thailand, that's Mike Swick Quick training country out there, right? He's got a
Muay Thai school out there,
AKA Thailand.
Yep.
Good for him. He went out there and was just like, I'm staying. We're doing it.
We had him on, man, and his first attempt was a failure. Said he didn't realize what he was getting into. He was way over his head, and then he did it again, and it was kind of like in the infancy of his cancer treatment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of coincided with that, I believe. Yeah.
And he said, "Man, it was all or nothing this time. I wasn't failing." And it seems to me, I don't know, but it seems like it's pretty successful. I know he's got a lot of guys, a lot of MMA guys go out there, a lot of.
I mean, it's tough whenever you try to start a business in a different country, right? Like, I think you guys were just talking about this, where it's like people are like, oh, I'm just going to move here, I'm going to stay here. It's like, but like those people are like, you're not from here. Right. So when I was a kid, we moved to Puerto Rico. My mom was like, we're gonna start a new life. We're gonna go back to the motherland. And I was like, yeah, let's go. And when we got there, we realized real quickly, like, oh, we're only Puerto Rican in America. Like once we landed there, they're like, oh, you guys are from New York. I was like, New Jersey, but whatever. It's all the same. And like she couldn't get a job. Like I think her last attempt, she tried to get a job at a tuna factory, and they're like, no gracias. And I was like, didn't want it. She spoke too much English, and
Really?
yeah, we're not from there. So they're like, in their mind, they're like, you're taking jobs from people who are from here. So
even in your own community, though, don't you think that's true? People tend to eat their own a little bit. If you know, there's you don't step on toes. Like, for example, where I grew up in a little town of Maine, it's right on the water. There's really only two industries. You work in the land in some way or on the water in some way. It's the lobster fishing community or seafood in some way, but lobster fishing is huge, or you can be in the blueberry industry. But if your family's not in that business, like if you're not a lobsterman, you can't get into that business. They will fucking murder you. They will straight cut your traps off. They will, so even in your own communities, you experience that a little bit. There's a little self-policing, if you will. You know what I mean? I'm sure you guys probably experienced that in the you both have BJJ schools. Like, could a guy from out of town, Frankie, put a school right next to you? Wouldn't that be a little frowned upon? You know what I mean?
This one's fight.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I mean, now you got schools popping up.
Yeah,
right down the road.
Yeah.
When I first started training, 18 years ago, like 4 days ago, it was like my 18th year. I was like, holy shit. That's not the way it was. They were, you had teams, and in New Jersey, you had Rhino, you had Ricardo, and for the longest time, that was it. And the sport's just evolved, and I try to tell people, I'm like, it's a good thing that jiu-jitsu schools are opening up, because it means that there's a business there. It means that there's a future there. And the key is to just not eat each other's heads off. And I truly believe that if you just do things your way and the way that you think is the best way to possibly do it, really focus on the students, give the best classes that you can, your school will grow. And it's like anything else. It's a bubble, right? So at a certain point, you might have 10 schools within a 10-mile radius of you or 5-mile radius of you. How many of them are going to last? I see it right now on Instagram. There's a lot of schools posting videos of, hard training, this and that. And I'm like, man, that's awesome. I don't know if that's the best business model.
Right, yeah.
Like there's no 30 to 45-year-old man who's looking at this and is like, yeah, that's where I want to go. Right. You want to cater to the young competitors. That's great. But most 20 to 25-year-olds, a small percentage of them are going to stick around. They're going to keep training. But a lot of them haven't experienced life yet. They haven't had a real relationship. They haven't had kids yet. They haven't had a full-time job yet. So, you want to make it open to everyone so that everyone wants to come in, not just guys that want to, kill each other for 6 minutes at a clip.
Right.
That is that balancing act, though, too,
You also don't want to be the school where everyone's soft.
Right.
So it's
it's a struggle a little.
You guys have, obviously, I'm not a coach, but as coaches, do you guys have an appreciation for the whole gamut of guys, the guys that want to come in there and fucking bang hard, the little kids, the 4-year-olds?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Dude, this guy's pretty good with the kids. He impresses me with the little kids. Because Frankie, on a personal level, because I've known him for 20-plus years, probably not the most patient man. I was in the bank with him today. I was cracking up because he's not the most. But with little kids, dude, he's really good. With
I was okay today. I was
I was like, oh my God, he's going to fucking lose his mind.
Tell me it wasn't ridiculous. Come on.
It was.
The little kids are tough, man.
Yeah.
Like I tell, and it's funny, I tell all my coaches, especially the ones who are like, I want to have a school one day. I'm like, oh, you want to have a school one day? I was like, teach the 4-year-olds.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I was thinking I could teach the adults. I'm like, nah. Adults are easy.
Yeah.
Teach the 4-year-olds, then I'll promote you to like the 8 to 12-year-olds. But if you can teach 4 to 6-year-olds for 30, 45 minutes and do that for a little bit, man, then everything else becomes easy.
Easy, for sure.
Easy. Because you're just herding cats the whole time.
Yeah.
And then you get the parents who are like, when is Timmy going to be ready for a competition? It's like, he's still learning how to tie his belt.
Yeah,
he doesn't even know like how to line up. Like let's get the focus and the discipline coming in first, and then we'll worry about that.
That's another whole aspect of it that I didn't even think about, dealing with parents. And I'm sure Renee helps you out with that because Renee's there most days.
Yeah.
But do you deal with the?
Oh, you definitely. Yeah. I mean, I had one girl, 2 girls going at it. The one girl's a little more aggressive than the other girl, and got her in her rear naked. But no, she had her like in a Boston crab. She was sitting on her back and rear naked, like sitting on her back. Pulling. And the girl's like, "Ah!" The girl's tapping, and she didn't let go. Oh, tap! The mom's like, "She was." I'm like, I know. But the girl's also 8 years old. She doesn't know either. She got and you got to explain it to them. So yeah, you deal with parents for sure.
Yeah. That balancing act is wild though.
Yeah,
because especially like for you, right? Because like you were a fighter, and that's a certain mentality that you got to have for a long time. Now you got to go in the mindset of not just being the coach, but also the business owner. So how do I approach this parent and approach this kid in a way where, they're not being totally soft and they realize like this shit's real, but where you're not going to be like, nah, I can't train at that place. That guy's a wild animal.
Right.
When when you're competing, you're just on go the whole time.
Right.
It's difficult. That's why when guys are still competing and they have active competition careers, it's kind of tough to run a school.
Yeah,
because you got to turn that switch off, and it's a hard switch to have. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
That makes sense.
It's to me that's why I waited so long to open a school. Like I always knew I was going to open a school.
Yeah.
I mean, I was even before I started fighting, I thought I was going to open a wrestling school. You know, and then obviously I got into fighting. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll definitely do this one day.
You do everything.
And I wanted to wait until I was done fighting because it just wasn't fair. It wasn't fair to either career. If I started, teaching and I still had my fight career would slack. And then also my students would slack. So that's why I wanted to wait and make sure I did it the right way.
And that's smart, man, because to be successful in anything, I truly believe this, you have to be selfish, right? You have to be. Like even me, with the reffing, so it started with, one ADCC out of necessity because of COVID. They couldn't get the refs in from Finland. And again, got that voice note from Tom, like, what are you doing Saturday? I need you in Atlantic City, man. Like, you got to be there. I need your help. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like, you want me to like check the doors, collect tickets? Motherfucker, I need you to ref. I'm like, dude, I've never reffed in my life. He goes, bro, it's not hard. They tap, you say stop, don't let them go out of bounds. I was like, all right, I can do that. So I did that. Then I got invited to West Coast, and then I started taking advantage of opportunities. And I'm like, I got to Mo's ear, and I'm like, hey, bro, if you need me for Worlds, he's like, you've only done 2 events. I was like, I'm just saying, I'll run water, whatever you need. Right. And then I did Worlds, and it just took off from there. But to be now with the head ref and doing all these events, in order to succeed in that avenue, I have to be selfish with certain things. God bless my wife. When people are like, "Oh, how do you do all that?" I'm like, "Because my wife's a single mom. 1 week out of the month. Right. So I'm able to fly out and do what I got to do, and know that the kids are getting taken care of at home. And then when I come home, like I just try to be like super dad, super husband, and just burn the candle at both ends. So a lot of zen, a lot of bangs. We're doing what we got to do.
I've always been an MMA fan, so I've watched it for 20 plus years, and refs can take a lot of criticism in MMA. Do they get as much criticism in BJJ? I mean, Frankie brought up a good point one day. He described, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Frankie, but his perfect ref, the idea of a perfect ref in Frankie's mind is the guy that gets the least involved, stays out of the way, doesn't, you know what I mean, just stays out of the business. The little guy, what's his name? You like him?
He's a fucking Jersey guy.
Yeah.
Keith Peterson.
No
nonsense.
Yeah.
He don't say shit. That's what I like. Don't get involved. That's the best.
So for me, and this is what I tell the guys now when we do these events, I'm like, listen, it's cool to like get on the flow grappling and get on the Instagram, but at the end of the day, if they're talking about you as a ref, you fucked up. You did something really like egregious. Stay out of it. Let the athletes be the stars. Let them do what they got to do. If you got to communicate every now and then, especially with ADCC, like the activity is a big thing. So my mentality is I'm not trying to be their dad on the mat. I'm trying to be like their uncle. Like, hey, like you guys might want to start moving before the table calls it. And then when the table's like action, I'm like, I told you, let's keep working. And I always try to be respectful too. Like, hey guys, I know you're working. We got to do a little bit more for the table. Because you get some refs out there like they think they're like cops out there.
They like the authority.
Yeah, and like they're like, come on, start working. It's like, bro, you've never competed at this level.
That's the thing.
So chill the fuck out and like understand that they're doing it.
Right.
They're doing it.
Right. But I mean, most of the refs have competed though.
Yeah.
Or at least trained. Maybe not competed, but at least trained, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is great. That happened. I mean, I don't know in wrestling. I feel like wrestling, the referees are so fucking old. I don't know when's the last time they competed. You know what I mean? But wrestling referees are rough. Like you just know you're not getting good calls.
Yeah.
Like jiu-jitsu, I feel like is a little better just because everyone's competed before.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm sure there's bad ones too.
There's always bad ones. And like, so unfortunately, like with the ADCC, with the head ref, so, I have to pay attention to the other refs. And I'll tell like Mo or Caitlin, who, is like organized a lot of the stuff. I'm like, hey, I don't think we can use that guy anymore. I was like, he's just letting the athletes do whatever they want. They're going through tables. It's little things, but it's things that if you've been training for a long time, what these athletes put into it to get to that point. You have some respect for it. And, I've never competed ADCC, but I've been in the room with the guys who are doing it. So I understand how much work goes into it for you to mess up a call or for you to reset something that didn't have to get reset. It's like, let them go, stay out of it. And when you got to get in, get in.
Now, okay, for this match, what's the date of this match?
January 24th, next Friday.
So, what's the prep? Is there preparation for you? Is there any, like, I mean, you know, you know it all, right? You know the rules, right? Is there preparation, though?
Yeah, so what I've been doing, and I'm driving Dom crazy right now, is I've just been watching all the grappling matches, because the difference with 1FC within an ADCC, the ref's job is just kind of like to control the action, but the table makes all the calls. The biggest difference with 1FC is if there's a submission attempt, you've got to call the catch. So with a lot of refs, especially with, you know, MMA refs who are now doing grappling, they might miss certain submission attempts because they don't understand that's a submission. Right. So I showed one today to Tom where someone had a heel hook. I think it was Cade Rotolo. He had a heel hook, and he lost it on the elbow, but then he switched his grip. So it was still in. So I sent it to Tom. I was like, hey, catch or no catch? He's like, that's 100% a catch. I was like, I agree. But it wasn't called a catch in the match. So you've kind of got to be on top of what's happening and understand, like, even though it doesn't look like a submission, it is. And for me, it's what I'm looking for is there a good bite? Is there any sort of torque on the limb, or is the face starting to go red? And is the other person actively defending to get out? Because if you're actively defending to get out, that means something's in there.
Right.
So you got to call it. So I'm just watching matches nonstop, and like my wife's going nuts because I'm just like I'm in the living room just like catch. And I want to make sure that if I'm calling it, is the ref calling it on the TV, or am I calling something that maybe they didn't call, and then I'm like clip it. Send it over to Tom. I'm like, you know, why is this a catch? Why wasn't it a catch? Just so when I go out there, you know,
have an idea what you want to do.
I have an idea of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
Now, the catch or the submission attempt, is that's an advantage? Is that considered like an advantage? How would that work?
What they do at 1FC is at the end of like the 6, 8, or 10-minute round, that's all it is, just one round, whoever has the most catch calls is the winner. And if it's an even amount, or, you know, no catches were called, then it goes to the judges for decision based on who was pushing the action, who was the most, you know,
so it's kind of judged like a fight. It goes first, it's most submission attempts.
Yeah.
Then after that, judge like a fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like what other factors are playing? Like aggression,
control. Probably position, right? Positional stuff.
Aggression,
like the guy on
control.
top usually is. I don't know. Jiu-jitsu could be different. You could be on bottom really attacking too.
Yeah, you can get guys on top who are doing nothing. You'll see that in ADCC where most of the time you're kind of like yelling at the guy on top, like, you know, action, because, you know, they want to just stay there and bear hug you, but you got to try to pass the guard, dude. Right. Like, I understand this guy's going to try to get your leg, but you have to move.
Okay, so let's ask you, who did I see? Who was it? The wrestler Pat Downey in the CJI. Who did he fight? He lost to. He beat Luke Rockhold.
Luke Rockhold.
And then he went against someone else.
I think Luke started talking like Mighty Mouse in the crowd in the middle of the match.
But then whatever, Pat Downey.
Yes, that's right. He jumped on his neck.
Whoever he went against next, he lost to. But I thought, like, to me, it looked like he won. You know what I mean?
So CJI was happening the same exact weekend
at ADCC,
as ADCC. Right. So I really didn't catch a lot of the matches, and I didn't go back to watch them.
That's Craig Jones' thing?
Yeah, that was Craig Jones' thing. I mean, it looked like a dope party. It looked sick.
You got some big money behind that, right? Somehow.
He did, yeah. But I don't know if he'll do it again. But, he's having another one, though, right?
He's talking about doing another one, but he wants to do teams. And I'm like, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. And probably a little bit more fiscally responsible as well. You know, 5 people can split $1 million as opposed to like, here's 2 guys getting $2 million.
Yeah.
But I mean, how do you turn down $1 million?
Who won that? Nicky Rod?
Nicky Rod, and I believe it was Cade Rotolo.
Yeah,
Cade, right?
Yeah. Cade the one with the twin brother?
Yes.
Yeah, Cade and Ty. Cade's the one with the wild hair.
Yeah,
yep. That's how you tell them apart.
Which one fought MMA? Ty, right? Or both of them?
I think both of them, but I know Ty definitely had one because I was going back and forth today looking at some videos. But those guys, man, those kids just want to get after it.
Bro, since they were fucking 5 years old.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I first started fighting, there was videos of us with Ruka. Then we're with Ruka. And they would have videos of them beating the shit out of each other.
Well, do you imagine being born with a training partner?
Well, their dad.
Well, their dad's a badass too.
Yeah. It's insane, but good for those
super
guys.
good guys too. Super cool kids. You know.
I think there was I can't remember if it was Cade or Ty, but apparently like a fighter didn't make weight at one of the 1FC things, and he was like, "I'll do it," and like Chatri was like, "Dude, I love the spirit, but nah, man, like I can't. Like we're trying to build you up. We can't just throw you in there. But, like that's balls, you know."
Got it.
Absolutely.
I think that was like how Ricardo did it too. Like,
well, Ricardo was in Pride.
Yeah.
It was Pride. I don't know, Pride like fucking 4 or something. I don't know, whatever. He was there with Henzo.
Yeah.
And they said, some guy didn't show up. Do you want to fight? He's like,
all
right. First fight ever.
When did, obviously early UFC days, there was no weight classes. When did weight classes start to become a thing? What roundabout? What?
Probably when the Fertitas bought it.
No, I think before that.
Yeah?
I think a little bit before that. Because I remember there was, I mean, they weren't as specific, but there was like under 175,
Yeah,
above
you're right. You're right.
175,
100%.
I think,
You're right.
Something like that, you know?
Gotcha. Yeah, because obviously Hoist was killing, super heavyweights
Yeah,
at the time.
yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah.
Hoist was going crazy.
Yeah. Greatest BJJ practitioner of modern day, Gordon Ryan.
Gordon Ryan.
Come on.
Yeah.
How can you say?
Well, I mean,
You might say, I mean,
think
listen.
there'd be some people that might say Nicky Rod. No, some people.
How can you?
I'm not saying it.
Listen,
I agree. I agree.
mean, I don't know what people.
Gordon
I mean, they competed twice and he won. So
Yeah.
how can you say that? I
Well,
don't think
he-
anybody
he,
can say
he
that.
did. Gordon Ryan beat him, but
Twice.
he got lucky with the clock, didn't he? In fairness,
I mean,
and he broke his foot. I think.
I
didn't
don't
he?
know if he did. They said he did. I don't know if he did.
You can make that argument both ways, right?
I'm not arguing. I agree. Gordon Ryan's the best.
No, but I'm saying-
some people I think would make the argument.
No, how?
that Nicky
But
Rod-
how can they make that argument? That's like saying
Well,
the Giant. Okay,
just
listen.
type it in online and you'll see that
I
they
know,
make
but
that
how?
argument.
But how can it have any fucking? Listen, I think I like Nicky Rod. He's a fucking awesome guy. I think he's great. Could he possibly beat Gordon in the future? Maybe, maybe. But he hasn't yet, and I don't give a fuck if he almost did.
I'm in
He
agreement.
didn't.
I'm in
So like,
agreement.
if the Jets played the Giants and they never beat them ever, you can't say the Jets are better than the fucking Giants.
Would
Who
you,
wants to
would
watch
you
that
agree,
game,
Frankie?
man?
Would you
Who wants to
agree
watch that one?
that guys you fought, you're better than that beat you? Though. You know you're better than them.
No, I don't know. I mean, in my mind, I might, but I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. And to the fucking everyone else that's seen it, I'm not better than them because I didn't win.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And the Nicky Rod one with that submission, like I'm not a big fan of that one part of the EBI rules where it's like, all right, now we're going to start on your back, and it's like you take high level guys,
You never
and
get
you put
there.
them on your back,
Yeah.
like that. Number one, that you're not getting there. You didn't get there naturally, and number two, I don't care who you are. You put someone on your back, like it's a
gonna
fight.
get
It's
some,
going to be
yeah.
a fight.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fight, and the timer went out. Ref should have stopped that as soon as the buzz went out. But sometimes you get caught being a fan. It happens.
Yeah.
Well, Nicky Rod's claiming, I'm not on Team Nicky Rod, although he's a friend of the show. We've had him on the show. We'd love to have Gordon on as well. I think Gordon is the GOAT. But I think his claim is that he's all natural and always has been. Is he? That dude is a fucking specimen if he is.
I don't know. I don't
He's
know,
a
bro.
fucking
I don't know.
specimen of a human if he is.
Yeah. I'm not a doctor, but
Yeah.
Jesus, he got all the good genetics.
But I mean, and in his defense, I mean, he's been like that ever since I've known him.
Right.
Yeah.
Ever since he was a 19-year-old kid, probably, right?
Yeah, he's just been
Fucking
shredded.
freak.
He's
you know?
a freak
So,
if he is, dude.
Good for him.
Maybe not though. You know what I mean? Right?
I say
Might
let them
question
all
it
take
a
it.
little bit. But
I mean, dude, it's jujitsu.
I say let them all take. Listen, in any sport, I don't care what sport it is. Sports I don't even watch. Fucking basketball. Make a steroid league and make a normal league. I'm watching the steroid league every time. Bro.
100%.
Every time.
100%.
You know what I mean? Do I agree that it's unfair that athletes who are on a growth or on whatever steroids, PEDs, have an advantage? I would agree with that. So they shouldn't probably be fairly competing with guys that aren't. Here's a guy that was lifetime natural. Probably just competed against a few guys that were on some shit. However,
Probably.
if they had, I think the early days were a little loose with testing. But
I think
make a steroid MMA league and a natural, and I'm watching the steroid league. You put $69.
You've been watching
on the
it, bro.
weekend. Yeah, well,
You've
true.
been watching
to a degree.
it.
To a degree.
You've been
yes.
watching
Yeah, to
it.
a
That's what I
degree.
think. I think listen, like I think fucking steroid use has been rampant since day one. Day one.
Okay, well,
It's everywhere
then,
too,
then
man.
talk about it because nobody's been tested more than you.
No, listen,
How do
listen.
some guys beat it and some guys don't?
Science, and I'm not smart enough for it. But some.
Well,
but
you
people
did say one time. I remember you saying that it helps if you live in a different country. You think a little bit.
I
right?
do agree with that.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I
I don't think they have testers that go to Thailand.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. I know they have testers that go up in the mountains. You know what I mean? So those
It's probably
are the places.
it's probably a lot harder to get them there too.
Right, yeah.
Where it's like it's easy to pop in New Jersey.
We're in Jersey, buddy.
Bro, I'll never forget
Hey,
though.
want me to make a call now? We'll have them by
Yeah.
the end of the show.
Bro, I'll never forget.
we got drones checking for PEDs now.
Yeah. me and Kamara Usman were in Colombia at getting the stem cells,
Yes.
and we went up to like the fucking barrio, right? Like it's up in in America, the rich people live in the hills. Over there, the poor people live in the hills.
Interesting.
Right? And you had to go up this fucking mountain. It was rain. Dude, I don't know how we got up there.
That's a great story.
But it was like me and Kamar were like, bro, let's just turn the car around. It was pouring rain. There was no guardrails. We're sliding that back. Our driver was money. My wife's like, oh, we were going there to help poor kids, boxing. So we were trying. I'm like, I was at one point. I'm like, yo, forget this. Like, we can't do this. We're gonna die. And he's like, let's try. So the guy made it up there, but fucking Kamar gets a call. He's like, hey, you were USADA needs drug tests. He's like, well, I'm up on this mountain if you want to come up here and get me. And obviously they couldn't get him up there, so they had to wait till he went all the way back down. Right. But they still went and got him in Colombia.
Yeah. But you see it in every sport too, man. Like, who was? I think it was like Terrell Owens broke his leg, 6 weeks before the Super Bowl, and now he's playing. And listen, the guy's a freak of nature, but you're the face of the league. You're the best receiver in the league. You don't think they're kind of like, hey. Don't check this guy.
Well, obviously Connor's under a lot of suspicion now, but he dropped out of the pool after he broke his. Which
that's pretty much the cheat code.
Yeah,
right.
That was his ankle or his leg or what was his leg?
No, he broke his
ankle. Right?
No, he broke his. He did what Anderson Silva did.
Yeah,
almost.
Right. It was lower. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, but dropped out of the pool and obviously jumped on probably everything that God has ever made, not God, man has ever made to heal that. But has he entered the pool back?
He
is. He's back in. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I mean, a little off top. He got hit with the rape charge and all that stuff. But did you see she's putting an injunction in saying he's not allowed to publicly show the CCTV footage that they used to prosecute him?
Really?
Yeah.
What is he though?
His wife came out and made a whole statement about
that.
Dude,
she
too.
is a ride or die. That chick.
Yeah,
she likes that fucking money.
When
would you stay if your wife was running around with every Tom, Dick, and Harry? Would you stay?
Nope.
Exactly.
No money in the world could fucking make me stay.
Exactly.
I was gonna show my wife like what Connor's wife posted. I was like, man, I don't know if this is a good look.
Yeah, that might not.
What
fly
did
well,
she post? Like sticking up for?
She posted, like basically saying like, you want to claim this and you want to claim that, but I have footage saying that when you were tried to get turned away, you kept coming back and you followed to the elevator. It's like, at what point, were you the one being aggressed?
Right.
That's a gangster move for a woman to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's
but you
pretty
got
much
that.
admitting though that in order to do that, she's just saying that my husband was involved in it. Though.
Well, she said it. She's like, we dealt with this behind closed doors. But I mean, I would deal with a lot behind closed doors too if my wife was, had me in a Lambo yacht. I'd be like, we can renegotiate this contract.
We spoke about that a little bit, that case, and what what I found, because like these women that come out of the woodwork. What was the baseball player? Do you remember Andrew? What was it? Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer had an interesting case where this chick actually was in bed with him, filming him while he was sleeping, and talking about how much money he made to her girlfriends while she's like literally in bed with him, and then basically essentially said that he essayed her, right? And then he came out with all the like a landslide of
Spanish?
proof.
Is he
but
Spanish?
He got you've used that joke many times.
I know.
He came out with a landslide of proof that he didn't, and she was obviously talking about it with her girlfriends, got her text messages and all this, but you can't get your name back, and he was suspended, I believe, for the rest of the season, right? Once you're accused of something like that, it's kind of like
it's there forever.
It's a wrap, So, but the difference with the Connor case was the girl that he was involved in did try to pursue him criminally.
And it didn't work.
And it didn't work criminally.
But civilly,
then she came after him civilly. So at least she tried criminally, because this Trevor Bauer chick never came after him criminally. She just came after him.
Just wanted the
civilly.
money right away.
They just want a money rod. Yeah, exactly.
But it's just, I mean, I don't know.
It's scary, man.
Like,
that's why I just locked yourself in the hotel room.
Yeah, well, first off, he put himself in that position, right? I mean, obviously, if you don't mess around, you ain't gonna get put in that position. Mm-hmm. But even still, like, even though he was 100% wrong, cheating on his wife, it's not even his wife, right?
No, I don't think they're married. I don't think so.
I don't think they're married. Cheating on his baby mama, all this stuff, messed up. But he still didn't rape a chick.
Well, you know the story.
If he didn't,
yeah. Well, correct. We don't know. Nobody knows. The two people know.
But why would she say, why would she say, you can't show the footage? I don't want the public to see the footage, because the public's gonna see that you were fucking all over this guy. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not Connor's first. Remember the other girl in the bathroom where she claimed that he sodomized her or whatever.
Sodomized her. Wow.
Jesus.
In the bathroom.
Pereira. Case kind of just went away. I haven't heard anything about that since that
bullshit.
happened.
It was all bullshit.
That was a wild one.
She didn't go to nobody. She went to TikTok.
Yeah.
Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that was weird.
You know?
That was weird. Yep.
Come on.
You got to know too, though. Like you're in the eye of the public. Everyone's got a camera now. It's not 1984 anymore. It's not 2004 anymore.
I know.
You know, it's
but
wild.
dude, what's crazy is this though. Honestly, like, In 2004, if you got caught on camera, fuck, you're on camera. In 2025, you get caught on camera, that ain't me.
AI, baby.
That ain't me. You know what I mean? Prove it's me. Like, still literally, it's gonna come into our existence that videos are gonna have to have a watermark on them or something to prove that they're true. Because otherwise, who knows? Dude, there's AI that you can tell. You could tell it's AI right now.
Yeah.
In 6 months, maybe. Or definitely a year or 2 years, you're not going to be able to tell.
You know
the
most popular one that seems to be everywhere is them using Joe Rogan's voice, and they got me. I said,
yes.
I sent Frankie something. He's like, "You fucking idiot!" That's it.
I
didn't realize it because it's his face, but you never actually see his mouth linking up with the words. They'll zoom in on him.
You're going to eventually see that, and it's going
you will.
You're not even be able to tell. You know,
You'll catch it on Instagram a lot too, where it'll be like a motivational speech, and it'll be like, you know, in life, and then you're like, oh, it's Morgan Freeman, but then you notice the inflection never changes, and I'm like, and then people say, I'm like, AI, that's fake, that's drone footage, that's not real.
Yeah, and bro, I'm still seeing fucking drones every night, every night.
I'm seeing them a fair amount. I don't know about every night. I'm not really looking for them. Are you out looking for them?
No, I drive home, I look up, and they're fucking everywhere.
They're
You know what I mean? And the reason I know they're drones is because I'm driving, and they don't fucking move. They don't move at all. They stay there. Then all of a sudden they'll go this way. Then they'll go this way. It's not like a plane where it just goes across the sky. I get those. You see those all the time. These fucking move in different directions.
Yeah.
They're fucking drones.
Well, Andrew, can you just look this up on your phone? Don't all drones now have to have a green light? Because most planes that I see,
all planes have green lights too.
They do have green lights.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I didn't know they had green lights.
It's
I thought it was red and white.
The starboard.
It's a boat.
No, seriously, it is.
Starboard side?
One of them is on the
red, right, return.
something like that.
All right.
You know what I mean? So it's on the left side or some shit.
Okay.
Seriously.
I didn't know that. I thought just drones had green lights. I didn't know planes did.
No, I saw one. So I was hearing about the drones, and I wasn't really paying attention. Then we're leaving a restaurant one night with the kids, and it literally flew right over the truck. And I got my son in my backseat, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? So now we're going, and I'm like, that's not a plane. That's super low. So now I'm watching all night long. I'm watching them. So now, like, I'm out there like an old man, just watching the patterns, seeing how they're going, taking pictures. But that first night, I told my wife, I was like, "This is it. It's over." I took the guns out. I was I was strapped.
Still, what has it been? 2 months? No explanation.
Bro,
no explanation.
Well, supposedly they said it's been 3 years. 3 years these drones have been in the sky, but I've never noticed them until this year.
It's really only been in the news a couple months. But you're where? Montgomery? Up was it northwest?
Yeah. So my school's in Montgomery. I live in South Brunswick, which is like heart of Central Jersey, which does exist. I know some people say there's no central. There's a Central Jersey.
Central, yeah.
It's in the middle.
There's a south, there's a central, right?
There's a middle. You got it. There's no.
And then there's the shore too. We don't live in Central Jersey. Right. We don't live in North Jersey. We don't live in South Jersey.
Down the shore.
We live in
ETS, down the shore. ETS.
OTB, over the bridge, baby.
That's right. That's right.
Those shore boys are different, man. I remember when I played football in high school, like, you know, you had the kids from South Jersey, and then like you had the kids from the shore. Like that shore conference was something a little different.
Green lights on drones, green lights on planes, both. What's that?
They need them at night.
Drones.
Yeah.
How about planes?
And planes.
Green lights on planes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Now I'm gonna be looking for green lights.
Yeah.
My sister's worse.
They don't all have green lights on them.
No.
No, I pretty much seen them all have green
Have
lights.
you?
Yeah.
Really? No, not drones. The things, the red and white things sometimes I see in the sky that I'm assuming are planes, or they're just too far away to see the green. I see the red and white clearly.
Well, no,
But
because the
ones that
green
are
is only
close-
on one side.
I
That's why.
suppose that
You know
could
what I
be.
mean?
Yeah.
That's wild. There's no explanation.
None. Still. Isn't that crazy?
Imagine we were in high school and someone's like, yeah, when you're in your third 40s, there's going to be fucking these we didn't have drones back then, right?
No.
Right? There's going to be these air flying things around and we're not going to know where they're from. I'd be like, fuck, they were America, bro.
Yeah.
We'll fucking shoot those things down.
I don't know. I grew up on the Jetsons, man. George Jetson.
Dude,
you know the Jetsons with the little flying cars?
Yeah. I tell my wife all the
both
time, I'm like, what's that director's name that did the Terminator?
Cameron,
James Cameron.
James Cameron.
I tell my wife, I'm like, James Cameron's been telling us for 40
No,
years
bro,
what's coming.
did you know this though? That the Terminator and the Matrix, same story.
I could see
told me
that.
They got both of those stories from this one black woman that wrote. She wrote a short story, and they got Matrix from that and Terminator for that. So now, John Connor, Jesus Christ,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
That he's Neo.
Neo's the same thing. The chosen
Neo.
one.
Yep, he's Neo. John Connor's Neo.
You can do that.
Fucking kind of wild. You know what I mean?
You can take a lot of like Hollywood cinema and like line it up with
The
biblical
Bible.
stories.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Sure.
Star Wars is literally just the story of Jesus. It's like you're the chosen one. Chose the path of righteousness when he could have joined the dark side. You got Jesus on the mountain. It's all right there.
Yeah.
So you can cheat and just figure out the end. Just read the Bible.
Yeah, right, exactly.
The Bible gets a little sketchy at the end. It gets a little.
Yeah.
You get to that book of Revelations. You're like, holy shit.
Well, you know what? That's funny. A lot of people think we're there.
That's
right?
what. Yeah.
A lot of people think. But this is what I say. Like, okay, so Jesus resurrected 2,025 years ago, right? Something like that. And how many times since then have we thought, oh my God, Revelations happened? Probably a lot of times.
A lot of times.
A lot of times shit was going crazy. There's fires. There's this. Oh my God. And it never happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or it did. And we're plugged in.
Yeah. Dude, that's the crazy shit, bro.
Got the reset button.
But they know who was it? Elon Musk says there's a probability of us being in a simulation is greater than us not being in one.
Listen, anytime something good happens in my life, because like my whole life, like I was always like, I get close and then something would happen. I get close and something would happen. And then like now when things start happening, I tell my wife, I'm like, man, I want to know what program I paid for because it's going pretty well.
Yeah.
And,
Bro, but I just think it's like
Total Recall.
it's it's like whatever. It's just whatever this movie is. It's fucked. You know what I mean? Like the simulation's broken, bro.
Yeah.
Like, come on, Elon Musk is fucking like Tony Stark exists in the real world. You know what I'm saying? Like this guy is a fucking tech billionaire guy. Is the most influential guy. He's running practically. He's buddied with our president. It's just a movie. We're living in a fucking movie.
And he's not even from here.
No,
He's South African, right?
South African.
Like
yeah.
it's pretty wild. I mean, that's the American dream right there.
Right,
I came over here,
yeah.
but yeah, man, I'm convinced it's all coming. It's all coming
There's
to
a lot
an
of
end. I'm
people
ready.
that are a lot of the conspiracy theorists, including our friend Jesse, are very undecided on him. Whether
I kind of am too,
he
man.
represents good or evil, or if
kinda
he's
am
a false
too.
prophet or what. But I mean, on the surface, if you're a conservative, just surface speaking, I mean, he seems to be the biggest proponent of the First Amendment, free speech.
I don't know though. I don't know. It depends on what you see. Because you see, some people are not liking what he's doing.
Well, isn't Steve Bannon a big critic of him?
Yeah. Yes.
Andrew, correct? Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people think he is censoring people.
Yeah.
You know?
Elon gives me those like Thanos vibes.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna make the decision that he thinks is best, and it might not be what we agree with. It might be eliminating half the population.
Right. Although I mean, maybe, but I do see him always talking about how our population is going down, that we need to start increasing
I think that's by design,
birth
though.
rate. Yeah, well, I
Anybody
don't believe anything anymore.
No, I think that's
I don't believe
some of
anything, and I
some of
believe
that
it
is
all.
by design
Yeah,
by our own
that too,
government.
that too.
But any
That
guy
too.
that wants to put a chip in my head, I'm a little suspect of too. So.
But Talbot, tell me this: if you were blind, or you were deaf, or you couldn't get your dick hard, or you or you couldn't walk,
You know that's not a
or
problem.
you couldn't walk, would you get a chip in your brain to do any of those things?
It's impossible to answer. Do I think that I'd be likely? I would, sure, but I'm not in that situation, so I don't know. So yes, but
Well, you got people doing stuff now. Like, so my father-in-law had Parkinson's. He passed away a couple years ago. But that was one of the things that he talked about. Like, we can put something in there. So it's like they're putting something in there that but what else is going in? And
what is it called? Remember the movie Elysium, the med beds? Med beds. You never saw that? Where literally you just get in a bed. And
Jesse says they exist.
Jesse believes they exist, but they literally cure.
I've got a friend who's told me about that.
Cure
He's like, "Bro,
cancer,
they
cure
exist."
everything.
Yeah.
The reason I find that hard to believe is guys, like the Apple phone guy. I always forget his name.
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. Like how he'd still be here? He had more money than.
Yeah, but he didn't want to do any.
Well, how do you know he's
Did you
not
see Mel
still here?
Gibson recently on Rogan?
Yeah.
It said 4 of my friends had
Three, yeah.
Was it 3?
Yeah,
Stage.
3.
Okay, stage 4 cancer. I knew
you
there
go.
was a 4. I knew there was a 4 in there somewhere. Stage 4 cancer.
And now they do not.
And they do not,
No, they
and
don't.
they did not go the
And you
route
know what they
of
took?
Western medicine. Well,
What
they
they
took
took?
that dye. What's the dye called?
No,
the blue dye.
methylene blue.
Methylene blue.
Methylene
They
blue.
took ivermectin and the falbazazine or some
Something
shit.
like that. I'm not even gonna try to
It starts with an F. I
pronounce
know
it.
that.
Yep. Right.
Yeah. Fembendazole.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go.
I'm not even going to try to say that.
yeah.
All right.
Would you?
If that's real, that's fucking.
Would
crazy.
you? If
But
you,
yeah, the menthol blue is like some cleaner or some shit. What is it?
Yeah, it was
it's
supposed to
dye
be a
of
cleaner.
some sort,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what they use on the airplanes to clean the toilets.
Is that
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It's out there. But who's to say Steve Jobs is actually dead?
Good point. Good point. Maybe
You know?
maybe he's on tour with
Tupac
Elvis.
might still be alive.
Yeah,
Elvis
yeah,
was there.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
hearing Robin Williams is
Yeah,
still alive.
yeah,
Oh, bro, that would probably be the one. That's the one I want to still
Can
be
you
alive.
imagine?
You go down that wormhole, man. It's
Oh,
you're like,
it's
everyone's
deep.
alive.
It's deep.
They're all in Antarctica, living in
It's-
center Earth with the lizard people.
Yeah.
I can't
The
get on that.
Greys.
Yeah,
The Greys.
dude.
Greys.
So I've shared this theory. People are going to watch and be like, that guy's fucking nuts. I've told people, and I'm like, what if? And this was who's the physicist that's always on Rogan? The
Black dude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? He was on Rogan.
Not
one
a
day.
fan no more. Used to be.
Yeah, he's been going wild. But he was like, we see these aliens and they look like humans. He's like, well, there's only one species on planet Earth that looks like us, that stands, erect and has 2 arms, 2 legs. I mean, some people, everyone stands erect sometimes. But I was like, man, what if the Greys that we see are just what we eventually evolved
100%,
to?
I said it
and
so
now
well.
it's just us coming back in time
Checking on us.
to make sure, like, hey, like, don't do this because it's going to end it. Like, we see all these planes. Like, how do we know we don't discover time travel? And it's just us coming back to police ourselves.
Or this, right?
true.
Maybe we were on Earth, and or Mars. They say Mars could have been like. Listen, you're in the
They've showed
Goldilocks
valleys
zone,
and
right?
canals where there might have been water on
Right.
Mars.
Well,
Yeah.
like, we're in the Goldilocks zone, Earth. At one point, maybe Earth wasn't in the Goldilocks zone,
Mm-hmm.
and Mars was. Right. So our whole civilization was on Mars. We've seen that we were going out of the Goldilocks zone. We got to leave. They left. They went somewhere. Technology obviously was much more advanced than it is today. They leave and they become, like you said, these Greys.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense, right? Like as we get older or as we get smarter, we're not going to need muscles anymore. Fucking going to be non-binary. It's the fucking way we're going,
Yeah,
right?
that's a good-
And you also have a big ass head to have that brain and fucking eyes to look at screens.
That's it.
And that's all you need.
And humans are already kind of evolving to that point. If you
Yeah.
look at, like the muscle mass is going
Well,
down.
our
People
mouths
just-
are getting smaller as we develop more as humans, right?
Is that really happening?
They say we had much bigger mouths as cavemen.
Well, no, it's because our food, how we eat our food. 'Cause we used to eat hard food. They said our fucking nasal passages are closing, all this stuff. Like
It's insane.
That's why we're mouth breathers. We're not supposed to be mouth breathers. We're supposed to be nose breathers. And they say it's from the way we eat. We eat soft foods. We're not like chewing a lot. I feel like I fucking chew a lot.
Big chompers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
think
right.
we'll
This was for
ever-
years of sparring, just biting down.
Yeah. Well, I know. Honestly, I grind my fucking teeth at night bad.
You wake up with headaches?
Bro, I wake up sometimes and I'm like, who fucking punched me?
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
you know what I
That's
mean?
grinding in
Yeah.
your sleep.
Yeah.
No, what is that caused from stress or just what? I don't know.
No, I wear a guard. Dude, I wear the guard, but then I'm like, I don't want plastic in my mouth all fucking night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had the same thing. I was waking up with headaches, and the dentist was like, she's like, you grind the shit out of your teeth
Yeah.
when you're sleeping. So they gave me a mouth guard, and I was like, I just don't want to be. It's gonna sound so vain, but it's like I don't want to be like, all right, good night, babe.
Yeah.
Put on my fucking mouth guard, like
Your headgear.
Yeah, you start getting like PTSD. You're like, oh god, like I wasn't delivering a lot of punishment when I did. I mean, I was getting fucked up a lot. So like when a mouthpiece goes in my mouth, I'm like, I start having flashbacks and shit. Never had like easy rounds, dude. Going back to like when I trained like MMA with Frankie, there'd be days where I'd get there and Ricardo would like start pairing people up. And I remember there was one day he's like, Miguel, you're going to do 4 rounds. You're going to go with Holish. Then you're going to go with Tom. Rest around. Go with Sapo. And finish with Matt Hamill. And I'm like, what the fuck? Pete McHugh looked at me. He's like, what the fuck did you do to Ricardo? I was like, dude, I should have stayed in college, bro. Like, what am I doing? I was like, this is going to be a rough day.
Another pretty good impression there, by the way, Ricardo.
Yeah.
Oh,
dude.
That was pretty good.
Ricardo's a maniac, dude. Motherfucker's tough as shit.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
Jesus. Yeah, those were fun days. Just getting my ass kicked.
Yeah.
But then I could
South
brag
Broad.
about. I could brag about who beat the shit out of me. I'm like,
Yeah.
today was a good day. Matt Hamill beat my ass.
Dude, you hear about Matt Hamill?
Yeah,
I
this
just
is
heard it on your
crazy.
podcast. You
That's
can hear
crazy.
now?
Yeah.
Fucking can hear. He has the strongest hearing aid
Is that
ever.
like a cochlear implant or whatever they call
No,
it?
I don't know. I said, suppose I just seen what I seen. He said the strongest hearing aid ever.
Could you imagine what that's like, though? Like, you don't hear shit your whole life, and then all of a sudden, it's like, that's got to be. Because I've seen videos of people doing it, and like they start crying right away.
I
It's
bet
like,
he gets divorced in a month.
Yeah. No, you ever see that the one? where the guy's like,
Yeah. His wife starts talking. You ever seen that?
man.
One last adjustment. We got it. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh my god.
Can you hear the sound of your own voice?
Yes.
Oh, baby. Oh, my God. Sergeant, thank you so much. We're so excited. Thanksgiving's in 2 days, and I can call you on your cell phone now, baby, and you can talk to my dad about his head.
Whoa. Are you okay? Is that too loud?
No, not too loud. The voice that's annoying. You don't hear that? I have to hear this forever.
Oh, don't be silly, baby.
Oh, there we go again, Doc. You know why this guy's smiling? Because he's probably deaf and he can't hear his wife's voice. Doc, please take it off. Help me. Please. Help me.
Relax. This is a celebration. Trust me, from one married man to another, you'll get used to it.
That's at some testing center, right?
Well, like a doctor's office.
At a doctor's office,
Yeah.
and they give him some sort of
Brand new hearing
But
aid.
he's like a middle-aged man with a wife, and they turn it on. You see his face just light up. He starts crying. He's like, "I can hear," and then his wife starts talking, and then she starts talking more. He's like, it's great, bro. It's fucking absolutely great.
It's
Bro,
wild.
I seen some of those guys fucked up. Bro. It was like the deaf person, road rage. Road rage deaf person. He's like, fucked up.
Dude, you know what I do when
horrible.
And the guy's filming, and the person stops and looks at him.
Oh wait, it was legitimate.
Yes.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought
Oh,
it
so
was
he's
a
just
joke.
flipping out,
Yeah.
just like making the
Flipping
sounds and
out.
shit.
This guy's like, bro, let's look at this. And then the deaf person stops, sees the person filming. He's like, fucking staring.
Dude, I haven't had road rage in years, but I mean, I shouldn't say that's a lie. I do it, but I don't yell anymore. What I started doing, because they can't hear you in their car.
No.
So now what I do is I just mouth what I want to say and just save my vocal. I'm like,
Yeah, true.
I was actually driving with my boss one time. We were checking out train stations, and we're driving one day, and I was like, dude, you know how you really piss people off when they're a bad driver? I was like, listen, if it happens, I'll just let you know. And sure enough, just a horrible driver, right? And it happened to be a woman, So, and I say that because, women drivers just aren't that good. Some are great, but like my wife's not one of them. So I just like look at her and I make like the driving signal and I just give a thumbs down.
Yeah.
She lost it. He's like, does that always happen? I was like, dude, you give someone a thumbs down after they're going to, because now you're saying like you're driving.
Yeah.
Good. And it's just so offensive. Like people, when you tell someone they're not a good driver, they're so, I'm the fucking best driver. I'm always a designated DD. It's like, dude, like,
Honestly, that if you gave me the, I'd be like, all right.
I had a road rage incident one time where it was the I'm screaming. He definitely cut me off or whatever the case was. Probably similar age guy. This was years ago. Following him, doing the pullover, motherfucker, all this shit, and he just sitting next to me, a light going like this. I'm like, you motherfucker, you know what I mean?
That's great.
I pulled away. I was like, he got me. Right? I got me. He
Got
definitely
you.
got me. You know what I mean?
sometimes like the smallest thing,
Yeah.
that's it. You win.
yeah.
You win. Especially when you're losing your cool and they're not.
Exactly.
It makes you realize like, maybe I'm the asshole.
I know.
Exactly.
I've definitely been an asshole a couple times.
Oh,
You
okay.
know?
All the
Yeah,
time.
I'm trying to get better with it at my old age, but yeah, it's hard. Jersey's tough, man. Jersey's tough. It should be far right lane 65, middle lane 75 to 85, left lane 90 and above. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Left
But
lane is
it's-
get the fuck out my
I
way.
just don't get-
the
people
people
don't-
that are in that left lane
They
that are
stay.
doing 60 miles an hour fucking drive me mad, dude. They drive me mad. Why are you doing
I'll
under
get
the
behind.
speed
I'll
limit?
even hide. I'll give them the benefit down. Sometimes they don't see you, so I'll get up on them. I try not to ride their ass because it's dangerous, right? But you got to get up on them so they notice you.
Yeah.
You get up on them, they still don't fucking go.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, all right, then I do the
Because
high beams.
they
You
believe
still don't go.
it's their job to slow you down. I believe that. I think they think it's their job to
I'm
slow
going.
you
The
down.
speed, it's not the speed limit, bitch. It says pass right, stay right, pass left.
The worst part too is like when you pass them, like 80% of the time, they're like, 11 and 1. But it's like, dude,
Always.
get out of
Get
here,
out of the
man.
way.
Like
It's
this
not
is
for you.
This is
It's
not
not
for
your
you.
lane.
This is for the experts.
You're making it dangerous for other people. I'm
Everyone.
not. You are.
Yeah, 100%. Especially in Jersey, like Turnpike, like 65. That's a suggestion.
Exactly.
Like you better get on and go
No
80.
bullshit in the morning on the parkway in the morning, like rush hour, 7:00 traffic. Everybody's going 85 in that left lane,
Everybody.
and they're a fucking bumper apart. They don't give a
Everybody.
fuck.
Everybody. It's Jersey.
Yeah.
You have
100%.
to. You have to be groomed to drive here. I had to be when I moved here from Maine. I was like, "Holy fuck, I'm gonna get killed." And then within a year, you're a professional driver.
Yeah. And you're probably a better driver than most of your friends from out of state.
Because of that.
I got to drive to Newark every day for work, and I got a big truck, so I went from like a Lincoln to like a big ass Tundra. So my wife's not used to being in the truck with me when I drive. So when I drive on the weekends, dude, she's like, gripping, doing. She goes, oh my God, I'll go between 2 trucks, 90 miles an hour. I'm like, babe, I know what I can do, baby. She's like, you're so close to the wall. I was like, we got life insurance. We'll be all right.
You know Frankie longer than me, probably. I've known him 20 plus years. You ever seen him scared ever? Any situation?
Have I ever seen Frankie scared? Yeah. No.
I have. Put him on a motorcycle on I-95, doing about 80, and go between a dump truck and a semi, and you will see a look of fear in this man's eyes, the way you've never seen before. That's great.
Bro, that's stupid.
I never seen him scared.
It's terrifying.
He's white knuckling it like this. I'm like, dude, you all right? We got there. He's like, bro, is there a way back that we don't have to go on the fucking interstate?
Bro, you gotta understand something though. Like you're talking to someone.
Listen,
I get scared on bridges, dude. My kids know it. They're like, oh, daddy's scared. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
I'm on a fucking bike with no windshield, right? This thing's blah, 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 blah. He's on this fucking couch, all right? Got a windshield. He's got a back massager on it. The fuck are you talking about?
It does not have a windshield, but it is a couch.
Oh man, that's amazing.
I become an instant pussy with anything to do with heights. I fucking hate heights, bro. Hate heights. Hate heights.
I don't like it.
I can't walk up to a building and like stand. I would never lean against a window or something in a high rise ever, never. I can't be near the edge.
No, I see.
I can go up there, but I can't go near the edge.
You see, like the videos of people go to New York and they get in the corner of like the Freedom Tower.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you fucking doing? That thing can go.
That's
like
crazy.
that thing was built.
A man made that.
A man
it
made
could
that.
Fail.
And I don't know how he felt that day.
Yeah.
I don't know how much sleep he got. I don't know if he ran out of Zyn. Like I don't know. That day he was like, it's fucking tight enough.
I'm
like no.
Same way.
Dude, I don't know what happened to me. Like in my young days, I was like nothing fucking scared me.
Yeah.
And then right around 30, I'm scared of everything. Like I have deer that come out to my front lawn, and my daughter will be like, Daddy, can I pet the deer? I'm like, I'm not going anywhere near that fucking animal. I've seen the videos. I go on a bridge. I don't want to be on that bridge. I'm thinking it's like True Lies. I'm like, this is going to be the day where China attacks, and I'm stuck. I'm preparing what I'm going to do once that truck starts going into the water. I've got like my little glass breaker. I'm ready to blow. And I'm just I'm just so ready. As a matter of fact, I was in the train yard the other day for work, and it's right by Newark Airport. And the one guy I'm with, he goes, what the fuck is that? And he said it like scared. I wasn't even nervous. I was like, this is it. I was like, this is it. It's over. It's over. I remember in high school, we had a military history teacher, and he always said, he goes, nuclear war is imminent. It's going to happen. And then he'd tell everyone, don't run from it. Run towards the motherfucker, because you don't want to be around when that shit's over. And I'm like,
I just want to be with my kids if God forbid that ever happens. If I'm going, I want to be with them. You know what I mean?
Dude, I'm
divorced. So the scariest thing for me is when my kid, and my ex-wife takes them on some pretty nice vacations quite often. When they're on that fucking plane, that's the only time I'm nervous. I mean, I fully trust my wife with them wherever. I know they're in good hands. I know. But when they're on that plane, God forbid something happened, I want to be on that plane too.
Yeah,
you know what
you
I mean?
want to be there.
So, yeah.
That's my biggest fear too. And it's like, how am I going to get back home and all that? But I knew you were divorced. My wife made sure I knew that before I came on the show. Right. I was like, I'm going to do Frankie's podcast with him and Roger.
Because of the lovely name Frankie gave me, the tramp.
So she's like, she goes, the guy from the Jersey Shore. I'm like, yeah. And then she like, that's awesome. Then she like stopped and turned around. She goes, they're not married anymore, right? I'm like, babe, I do my research. I'm not a fucking moron. I know. I was like, who are you talking to? She's like, I just don't want you to go on there and start talking and embarrass both of us. I'm like, both of us. I was like, what?
So we've been doing this for 5 years. In our very first episode, we covered that. We talked about all those hard. I got grilled by this guy. Not really grilled. He was pretty easy on me. But
listen, man, I'm a fan of the show.
I said I'm never talking about it again. And we really don't. We make jokes at my expense sometimes, but I've never discussed it since. It's in the rearview mirror. I would say. We are friends now. We co-parent well, and that's it. You know what I mean? So
listen, you know what happens when you try to run forward and look backwards?
Exactly.
You trip and fall, baby. We got an eye on the prize.
Exactly.
Can't talk about yesterday.
Absolutely.
If you're talking about yesterday, you didn't do shit today.
I agree, man. Well said. Well said.
But yeah, my wife gave me the rundown. Made sure I was prepared before I came.
We were talking. That's funny. We were talking. When you first got here, before the cameras kicked on, about. Online haters, right? You were talking about some of your experience with them. Frankie taught me a valuable lesson. He's a good dude to have in your life if you're. I don't want to say I'm thin-skinned. I wouldn't describe me as that, but if you need to toughen up a little bit, it's a good friend to have because he has no fucking mercy. So when I was going through that, I was fucking enemy number one, getting hated on. He's like, fuck him. I don't even read it. Fucking post and goes. Don't worry about it. Fuck him, And he still occasionally will read comments and stuff.
I read it, but I don't. It used to get to me.
When you have a podcast
to get to
and you're in any sort of public eye, whether it's popular or not popular, you still have people viewing it. There's gonna be haters, and we get plenty of them with this. You also, and if you want to shout it out, have a podcast as well.
I do.
And you were talking about a little bit of hate that you get sometimes.
Yeah, so tapping in podcast, tapping with the G, because there's an MMA fighter that has tapping in, Philly Fresh. I was like, yo, what the fuck? He was trying to get Gordon. I was like, bro, like talk to him about that title. Like, you guys got a lot bigger following than me. But yeah, so like anytime I don't really get too much hate, and the thing is, no matter what people say, like the group chat that I have with like Tom and Gordon and Gary, like that place is fucking brutal. Like there's nothing that somebody can say that I haven't heard worse in that group chat. My wife's like, how are you guys friends? I was like, this is how we train each other for the real world. But the only time I really like have gotten shit were two occasions. One was when I explained the ADCC rule for a takedown and how Gordon got the takedown on Philippe at the last ADCC. Dude, it was a clear breakdown of how it's scored. Nobody wanted to hear it. Some people were like, oh, this guy knows it. And then people were like, oh, he was Gordon's old coach. He knows Gordon. He's boys with Gordon. And then the second time, or the first time, was like 3 years ago. Gordon made a post wishing me a happy birthday. And people just went in. So I had one MMA fight, and I lost in like 57 seconds. Somebody put that in the comments. They just wrote, 57 seconds. I'm like, bro, how much research did you do? I was actually flattered. I was like, you hate him that much that you Googled all my, like you went through the depths for that to post that. And then like ADCC, like I know I got the long hair and I play it up. I know what I'm doing. I'll toss my hair back and shit. And like one guy put on a post like, this guy spends more time fixing his hair than he does watching the matches. My wife's like, how does that make you feel? I was like, it means he's watched a lot of my matches to know that I'm tossing my hair back. And he's probably bald. And it's like, bro, like I feel bad for you. You know?
Honestly, 90% of the people saying that shit is because they're fucking jealous. You know what I mean?
It's internal.
People are gonna talk about my forehead. Like I give a fuck.
I'm a little jealous. You know why? Because the day you fly out to go to Thailand, I fly out to go to the TR to get my hair done. So.
Do it, baby.
Yeah, baby. Let's go.
Hey, it's a new day, bro.
Wait, you are? You're going?
I'm going.
When?
Me and Jesse, 24th.
You didn't tell me this.
I did tell you.
They didn't tell me it was the 24th.
Well,
though.
yeah. Okay.
Wow. So now I can't.
I'm all in, baby.
Now I'm going to be the big forehead
I'm
guy.
not going to look very good for about 6 months, but
6 months.
Yeah, it's about that.
You're going to shave your head? You have to shave it.
They do it, but
I can't wait. Hey, you can't wear a hat either. I don't think.
Not for about a week. Yeah.
Have you? If you go on YouTube, you can find videos like flights back from Israel.
Dude, it's all the back row looking forward, all wrapped up heads. Yeah,
well, I listened to this. Francis Ngannou went to the one in Turkey.
Okay.
And I heard when he came back, because some people, because you're literally blasting it into your head.
Yeah.
Some people get so fucking swollen.
They do.
They almost didn't let him on the plane because his
Really?
face didn't match his passport.
Well, that's got to be wild too, because you're already swollen. Now you're going on a plane. You're getting elevated. They got to give you something for that, so you don't get blood clots and shit.
Cowboy Cerrone did it.
He did it. Yeah. Like I wonder though. Someone's saying you can't work out for like 2 months or anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I don't know. I could do
Jesse told me that, but I
there's no way Cowboy did that and Lance Palmer did that.
Did he? Lance?
Yeah, you should hit up Lance.
I gotta talk
you should
to
hit up Lance.
Listen, anything a doctor says is a recommendation.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like I was telling you about my son getting stitches before we went on went on vacation. I told these little motherfuckers, I was like, listen, Daddy's gonna go to the school. We're leaving tomorrow. We surprised him with it. I was like, please, for one night, just be like normal children. Don't be wild animals. I'm at my school, Montgomery BJJ. I'm at my school, sneak it in. For like 20 minutes, my wife calls me frantic. She never calls me. And I'm like, what's up? She goes, there's just blood everywhere. And I'm like, I go to my coach, Coach Max. I'm like, Max, I got to go, dude. Run home. My son's got a tiny little cut, but my wife saw the blood. But he had to go get stitches. So he gets the stitches. The day before we leave, the doctor's like, 3 weeks before he can go in water. I was like, we're leaving tomorrow for vacation. She's like, okay, really? We need a week. She's like, but if you can give me like 72 hours. I was like, yo, you got 36 hours. I was like, I'm not going to even try to keep this maniac out of the pool. Right. If he gets a permanent scar, fuck it. He'll look cool as shit. Yeah. I don't have any cool scars. I don't got cauliflower. I got nothing. My 8-year-old already looks like, hardened. I'm like, damn, dude. He's got the scar right on the eyebrow. I'm like, God damn, dude. That's a dope scar.
Yeah.
I was telling Frankie he got shot with the Novocaine, and that shit hurts. So before he gets it, he's like, "Daddy, is it gonna hurt?" I don't lie to my son. I'm like, dude, this is gonna be the worst pain you've ever felt in your life.
Oh, God.
But just know that you earned it, and you got to get used to it. Because if you're gonna keep training with Daddy and living this life, you're gonna have it a lot. Motherfucker didn't make a sound. I was like, just breathe. He's 8. He was 7 when it happened. He was just like.
That's great.
And then he's like talking to like the doctors, and I hate when they're always like, "Oh, he's so cute." I was like, "Don't fall for that shit." I was like, "I know what he's doing. I did it my whole life. He's charming you. Don't be fooled by what he's doing. I get it."
That's good. That's a fucking smart boy.
He's like, "Can I watch SpongeBob?" They're like, "Oh my God, of course."
You got to know your story reminded me that you just told about people razzing you on the gram and posting video of you losing the fight. Kurt Pellegrino, who's one of the funniest dudes I've ever met. We've had him on a bunch of times. You got to know Kurt.
Yeah.
Talks about every time that he talks about MMA at all, they always post his loss to Nate. They put it in the comments. You know what I mean? Where Nate's like giving the thumbs up as he's like fucking
Figuring
choking
out,
him
giving
out.
the finger,
Fingers or
triangle,
whatever.
But you can look at that 2 ways, right? You can look at that and be like, "Man, that moment sucks." But you got to understand, the people who are posting that
couldn't
never
last 5 seconds against Nate Diaz. You know what I mean?
Dana White doesn't even know who the fuck they
Exactly.
are. No human is stopping them to ask. And the people who post that, and Tom talks about this all the time, they'll post that shit, and then the second they see you, they're like, "Can I got a picture?"
Oh, of course. Or if you, God forbid, you respond to them, "Oh, I was only fucking with you, bro. I never thought you were." You know what I mean? Like,
big
fuck
fan.
outta here,
It
bro.
makes their day.
Yeah.
Because that's what they want. They want that engagement.
Interaction, yeah.
Like, they don't care that Frankie Edgar comments back like, "Yo, bro, fuck you." They're just like, "Holy shit, Frankie Edgar commented." It's like, all right, relax, guy. That's the highlight of their day.
Absolutely.
I can't live like that. I got my own shit to do.
I used to, like, the comments would bother me. Never like would they bother me like after the fact. But while I'm reading, I'd be like, "Motherfucker!" It would piss me off, and I'd walk away. I'd be fine because I never give a fuck that much. But even now, I'm like, I'd like to read the comments almost like, let's see, because I know it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit.
You know who's a legend and definitely puts himself out there for the critics? Absolute legend, stud. We've had him on the show. Love the guy, but the amount of criticism he takes is, and again, sort of puts himself out there to get it, but BJ Penn, bro, that dude, every comment is CTE, 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 CTE.
He's going pretty hard.
He goes
certain
in
things,
hard.
you know.
He ran for governor, right?
He did. Yeah. He almost won the Republican ticket in there. You know, he did all right.
I love when they just always fall on the CTE.
They do.
It's
they
like,
love that.
Oh, that's the first thing they say to me of everything.
all the time. Yeah. They go right
I think
to
you're
it.
still pretty sharp, buddy. I think you are pretty sharp. Not too hard against me, though, right?
Sharp like a spoon.
I'll tell you, Frank. I was telling Frankie before we came down. I was like, "Dude, I'm so glad you got a podcast because, during his fight career, Frankie was like the consummate professional, right? Never talked shit. Didn't get into that.
Exactly.
But like, if you were in the room with him, like, you knew, like, yo, motherfucker's quick. He's got some. He'll whip it out there real quick. Well, I shouldn't say whip it out there. But he's got some little quips that he can throw out there real quick. So getting the podcast, you can say the shit you want to say.
Over the last 5 years, has opened up more on here to talking.
Well, my thing is this: like,
it's not a smack talker.
There's certain people out there. I mean, there's and it's what it is. The way the world works. There's people that they comment on like whatever the current events are, whether it's in the world or in their sport or in their whatever niche that they do, and they do that to create these interactions and create this. To me, I'm not that guy. I'm not going to go on social media and post it, but I will say it here. So if you want to hear what I have to say, I'm not going to put it in your face and put it out there. Come find me and you hear what I have to say.
No.
You know what I mean? So then it's like for the people that bitch about what I say here, you're the fucking idiot tuning in.
You're looking,
you know what I mean? You don't have to tune in.
Exactly.
So
you spent an hour, 2 hours of your life trying to find a soundbite, and not for nothing, it's like that old Snoop Dogg thing when they asked Snoop Dogg, how do you feel about people burning your CDs? He goes, they had to fucking buy it first.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Push your product. They're watching it. You got the
Absolutely.
carnivore protein.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Perfect after a workout.
Absolutely. So you're you near like I know you're sort of you're north, but you're northwest, right? You near like Ramapo Mountain chain, all that?
Nah, it's way far north.
That's way north.
Yeah, I'm like 10 minutes from Princeton.
I just
New
looked
Jersey.
up your location real quick, and you were up north, and for whatever reason, I was like, I took a ride out that way one time, but I guess it wasn't near you. When I first started dating my girlfriend, like 6 years ago, she told me the story about the Jackson Whites. You know the Jackson Whites? You ever heard that story?
No.
They're like an inbred Indian. They're Indian descent. native Indian. Not,
think
not,
you're
no,
coming
no,
again.
no, no. I knew you were going to say
Native
that.
Indian.
Native Indian, but supposedly inbred. Some of them are albino, I guess. As the story goes, I don't know. I've never actually.
And they're in Jackson?
No, they're in the Ramapo Mountain Valley somewhere up there. I thought she was full of shit, and then we ended up. There's Woody Harrelson actually plays one of them in a movie. It's called Out of the Oven or something. Out of the Fire. I think it's called like Out of the Fire.
I've seen that movie.
Really?
Or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, something like that. Can you look that up? Woody Harrelson, Out of the Flames, Out of the Fire, something like that. And he plays one. And they're like this, backwoods kind of. They live in their own
Backwoods
community.
in New Jersey?
Well, they live in the
Oh,
Ramapo.
bro,
So anyway, she basically
it's
located on a map where they were, and it's literally like a Wednesday. You know how like when you're in love and you're dating or somebody new, you're down for whatever on a Wednesday. Now you try to keep me
You
up
didn't
past.
smash yet. You didn't
try
smash
to
yet.
you try to
All
keep
right,
me
I
up
get it.
past 10 on a Wednesday. I'm like, leave me the fuck
that.
alone. But she's like, let's drive. It's like 2 hours up north. I'm like, oh, fuck it, I'll go. She's like, you'll never drive into this
Let's go,
community.
babe.
You
That's a
will
great
never,
idea,
yeah,
babe. Let's do
exactly.
it. I love that you have all these exciting adventures.
Yes,
it's crazy.
Let's hold hands and walk to the car together. So anyway, she convinces me that it's real. It's legit. It's not made up. She has friends that know some of them. They police their own community. If you drive through there, it's dirt roads. You can't get in. Police don't even, fuck with them. If you go in there, they'll fucking kill you and all this shit. And I'm like, bullshit. I'm such a skeptic of everything. I'm like, that's a lie. There's no way. Shit like that don't exist. She's like, okay, I bet you won't drive through it. I go, I will. Let's go right now. So we drove 2 hours up.
That's that Maine in you, dude.
Ramapo
I'm not fucking
Mountains and
doing
shit.
that. I'm gonna take your word for it. We're
We're
good.
trying our damnedest to find this, and I thought we got on the road because we're up in this mountainy, hilly fucking area that kind of like dead ends, but it turns into a dirt road. I'm like, this is it. We're here. Let's go. She's like, I'm not going. I'm like, wait.
Like, just 2 fucking hours.
2 hours ago when we were laying in bed, this
Yeah.
was the greatest fucking idea ever. She's
That's
like,
why I did it. See how they said they were laying in bed?
Exactly.
He had that
Yeah.
PNC.
Yeah. She's like, I'm scared. I'm not doing it. So I'm like, all right, I'm fucking doing it. I didn't drive here for nothing. You're telling me that I'm not going to come out of this road? She's like, you're not. They'll kill you. I was like, I'm doing it. So I have to drive her back, literally back to like 6 houses back to like a nice modern house. It's not like a hillbilly, fucking homestead. And she literally goes, I see her. She gets out of the car. She walks over and she's like hunkered down by their porch. And it's a pretty crisp, chilly night. And I'm like, all right, I'll make this quick. Dude, I made it half a mile and there's a gate across the road. So I drive back. I go, babe, I barely got out of there. It was fucking, they were running after my car and shit. It was fucking crazy. So we never found it, but supposedly the Jackson Whites exist. Supposedly. What's the name of the movie? Out of the Furnace.
Out of the furnace.
Yeah.
Well,
And it's about New Jersey?
Well, it's obviously not a true story, but it's about this inbred family that gets involved. Oh, you know who else is in it? Huge star. Christian Bale's in it. Huge
Christian
fucking star.
Bale.
He's into
fucking
it.
Batman.
Yep. So
What about, though, that like in the Appalachia, the family where they make noises and shit?
Yeah, that's in Virginia, right?
Hills Have Eyes type
Virginia.
shit?
Dude, it's like
That's
it's like
the
a family.
The Whitaker family.
The Whitaker
Whitaker
they're all
family.
fucking inbred.
Well, West Virginia is interesting because you've got the wild whites of West Virginia. You seen those people? So like the dad was like it wasn't tap dance. It was like a different type of dance. And then like the son started doing it, but they're all like kind of like fucking wild. There's a documentary I saw about him. Like the one son,
wild tap dancers.
yeah,
That's
dude,
the craziest
you
thing
got
I ever heard.
the wild whites of West Virginia. Look it up.
Really?
Like the one like the nephew or something killed someone that went in the woods, and like the cops were trying to gun him down, and he was gunning down the cops. And then he like did like life in prison, and like the one guy's like, he probably would have gotten less if he killed somebody. I'm like, Jesus,
But where does tap dancing come into play?
because that's how they got their fame in West Virginia. Like,
Okay.
they're like this little famous family in West Virginia because they do like like click clack dancing. I don't know, but they're fucking smooth with it though. They're just like like nothing in their body moves but the feet. It's like, tick, 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 tick.
I'm a pretty good dancer on TikTok. You seen any of my work, Frankie?
I've seen.
My daughter will listen. I'll do it.
Listen.
I'll look like an idiot for my daughter. Frankie,
You don't look like an idiot. I tell you, you look a little something.
She'll once in a while be like, "Dad, do this thing." Oh, yeah, fuck it, let's go. So
I think the word they use now is sus.
Sus. No.
Or sis.
No. It's zesty.
Zesty.
Zesty's
Oh my
the word
God.
that they use. That's the word they use. Zesty.
My son was
All right,
saying.
I'm zesty.
My son was calling something something Sigma the other day. I'm
Yes,
like,
my
what
kids
the
use
fuck?
that.
No,
My
Sigma
kids say
means
that.
cool, though, right?
I have no idea,
But
dude.
it sounds like Sigma dick
male.
or something.
No, Sigma.
No, it's something like that.
I know, but if my kids were saying, I'm like, what that mean? I looked it up. It's like an independent male.
Yeah.
Something. It's not a negative thing.
No.
I know, but it sounds like Sigma dick.
Yeah.
Like Sigma what?
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
Exactly.
I'm 100% positive my 8-year-old's not using it the right way.
Yeah.
He's like, what the Sigma? I'm like, what the fuck are you
that?
talking
Yeah.
about, dude?
Kids are funny.
It's
man.
crazy, bro, because like slang has been pretty like normal, even from like the fucking 60s to now.
Oh, yeah.
Groovy, this and that. Now they're like making like they don't make sense, the fucking words. They're not even words. Sigma, it's not a fucking word.
Bro, it didn't make sense when we were using it either.
No, but we said yo, dope, fucking fat, fresh. Like that's normal. Those are real words.
Fatty.
Sigma is not a word at all.
But you know what, though?
We had words in Maine like wicked,
That's a word
Oh,
though.
dude.
wicked bub.
But that's a word.
That whole, so I went to college in Boston. That's a fucking adadjective over there.
Yeah,
Everything's
it is
wicked.
wicked.
Wicked hot, wicked cold,
Yeah,
wicked
yeah,
awesome,
yeah,
wicked. I'm like,
exactly.
Jesus.
It
The
is.
packy. I remember the first time one of like my college roommates was like, yo, we're making a packy run. You want anything? I'm like, I don't.
I'm not familiar with that. What is it?
Packy?
Packy.
Packy. I was like, I don't need boxes. But a liquor store is packaged goods, so they would would call it a packy run. There I am. I'm like this Jersey kid. I'm like, I don't fucking need boxes. What am I packing up? They're like, nah, it's a liquor store. I'm like, liquor? Hardly know her. But yeah, packy runs. But we had it too. But now that you got to school, and you probably already know this because you've been training nonstop. I tell this to my wife. She goes, how do you know what these kids are saying? I'm like, babe, because I'm around young kids all the time. So I'm like, yo, keep me hip with this shit.
Yeah.
So when my kids are saying some wild shit, I know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Right.
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 Like when you're 13, your mom said 69, and you start laughing. You're like, you think she doesn't know? Like, she knows. She knows.
Oh yeah, your
partially
mom
why you're
knows.
here.
Your mom knows.
Leave my mom out of this. Don't make me bring Mary into this.
Easy.
Is your mom's name Mary?
No, Barbara. His mom's name is Mary.
Your mom's name is Mary?
Yeah.
It's my mom's
Yeah.
name. Mary Lou.
Mary. My mom's middle name is Assunta.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah,
Where'd that come from?
Italian.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got an aunt whose middle name is Conception.
Conception.
Yeah.
Concepcion.
Concepcion. Concha. My aunt says, I got a shout out my Aunt Rosie. She's like, you never talk about me on your podcast. And when you do, it's never good. I'm like, what do you want me to say? My family listens to my podcast just to see if I say anything about them.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it a little bit. How long we've been at it? What, over 5 years? Over 5
Yeah,
years?
over 5
How,
now,
how long you been at it?
So we've been doing the podcast. I think we're going into our third year. We do one episode a week.
That's what we do.
We took a big break though. Like after ADCC Worlds, I was just like, dude, I need, because I do everything. I record it, I edit it, I upload it while running the school. So I was like, we took a little 4-month break. We just posted an episode this week. But like,
you do it. I watched some of your stuff. You do it all in your school on the mat, or no?
dude. So that was one of my students, Ben. Sup Bouncer. You can find him on Instagram. He does all these supplements things, and he's very involved, and he pushes a lot of products, and he like rates products like supplements. Okay. And he's like, hey man, let's do something after ADCC. But that was the first time we did it on film. We do everything right out of the office, which is crazy. Like I'm signing parents up. They're like, what's up with the microphones? I'm like, I'm recording this whole conversation. So when you don't try to cancel and I have to remind you about the 30-day cancellation policy. But no, I'm like, I do a podcast in here. And then some of them listen. Some of them listen once and they're like, yeah, we're just going to keep the illusion of Professor Miguel. Because I talk about anything and everything on there.
We're kind of everybody's like, what do you talk about? I'm like, we're pretty open podcast format. We talk about a little bit because I think people, especially with Frankie, you know what I mean? When you're his pedigree of fighter, I think people think we're just a fighting podcast. We just talk about fighting. And certainly not the case at all.
No, you guys talk about it. I love it.
Literally.
It's like being part of a conversation. And that's how it should feel. But dude, like I'll have my family over and like we'll start talking about something and my mom's like super Puerto Rican. She'll be like, "Ay, careful, he might put this on his podcast." And I'm like, I'm definitely putting that on the podcast. Like, I was like, it's my house. What are you talking about? My mom comes to my house and tries to tell me what to do. Yeah. She's like, Nene, don't talk to your son like that. I'm like, yo, what is happening right now? I'm 40. You're still telling me what to do.
Oh man, that won't stop. That won't stop.
Yeah. And then you get married, and that never ends. I gotta ask my wife permission to play video games. I'm like, can I get like 35 minutes to play this? She's like, the kids don't get TV time on the weekend or during the week. Neither do you. You have to set the example. I was like, I set the example by the fact that there's light in this house. Like, if I want to play, it's like, homeboy, like you can play video games on Saturday,
Is that true?
Sunday.
Kids don't, I think that's great because I think we just talked about this a couple podcasts ago. I mean, the downfall of and it happens in my house, and I'm guilty because I allow them to have electronics, but I really think that's the downfall of youth today is technology. And I'm not just gaming. Gaming is a part of it, but mostly phones. You know what I mean?
They talk about our
unfettered use of just a phone, which is basically a high-tech computer.
Yes, 100%.
Unnecessary.
And it's addicting for them. They're too young.
That's personal experience. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
And they're young. Yeah. So anything that you hear about me talking about parenting, we're like, oh, it's a great idea. Not my idea. I don't know shit. Like, I teach my kids like cheers. Like my wife teaches them everything. So my wife, who she's got a degree in in education and I think a minor in psychology. It's like that's why I ended up with a woman who can deal with little kids and a psychiatrist because I'm a fucking damaged child. But she puts a lot of these things in place, and she's always going to like conventions and lectures and just learning different things. So during the week, like they can watch TV, but it's not unfiltered. And my daughter's got dance like 4 days a week. My son's got wrestling, jiu-jitsu, so they're busy during the week. Yeah. But as far as like electronic devices, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's it. And then Sunday is like, I push for them to just get it extra because like Sunday's the day where I don't have to do shit. And I'm like, babe, just throw him the fucking switch and just call it a day. She's like, he's been on it all day and he needs to get ready for school. We've got to recenter him because my son, he's a typical boy. He's 8 years old. Right. His brain's all over the place. So we got to get him ready for school for Monday on Sunday. My daughter, she's ready for life. She's like a feral cat, though. Like, my son wakes up 5:30 in the morning, like, morning, daddy, morning, mommy. I can't wait till he can make coffee. I'm like, yo, like, get that shit ready. Get that. My daughter, dude, I'm scared to go in that room in the morning. She's like, 5 more minutes. Yeah. So she's got wild curly hair. I'm terrified of her.
Dude, same.
My daughter hates the morning.
So does mine. My son will get up. Yeah, my daughter, especially, and they think I'm fucking with them in the wintertime. Monty's like, "Why are you waking me up in the middle of the night? Because it's dark."
It's dark.
I'm like, "No, babe, it's the same time that we always wake up on Monday morning for school. It's just wintertime. That's it. No, it's the middle of the night. It's dark." I'm like, "I promise you, it is no later than it was in July when I was waking you up." Yeah. Well, not July because school's out, but you know what I'm saying.
We had for Christmas, we got our kids like alarm clocks, but it projects the time onto the ceiling.
Oh, that's dope.
But we got it so that our son stops like waking us up at 5:45 in the morning.
That's
like
great.
He's like, "Good morning, somebody gonna come downstairs with me?" And I'm like, "Bro, it's like it's 5:45 in the morning." So now like the deal is like until it says 6:30 on that ceiling, don't bother us.
Yeah.
So he'll be in there doing his own thing, but he plays like so fucking loud.
Bro, I say
like,
8. I say 8. It don't bother me till 8.
Oh, bro, I wish. My daughter can wake up at like 7:30, 8, but then she's the one that doesn't want to go to bed. Right. My son will be like, "Good night," tucks himself in, calls it a day. But my
he's
daughter,
fucking wound up, and then when he's finally done, he's like out.
He's out. He exhausted.
My middle guy was that way.
Dude, that I don't know how it is for you guys, but like that bedtime routine. Yep. Bro, like tonight when I told my wife, I was like, "Yo, I'm leaving at like 7:15." She's like, "Okay." And in my head, I'm like, I'm out of this. There was one night I was at the school, and Monday nights I'm done coaching at 7. And one of the coaches, he's like, "Hey, so like, you gonna dip out? What's going on?" I was like, "Dude, it's 7:15. If I get home right now, it is prime time bedtime routine. I'm getting home at 8:30. I was like, there's some paperwork or so. I'll clean the toilets. Dude, I come out of my kids' rooms disheveled. I reevaluate all my life's decisions for that 45-minute time span.
Listen, everybody parents differently, right? And all dads are different as well. But my pretty much my general rule is, and especially in the summertime, is you don't have a bedtime on Friday nights and Saturday nights unless we have sports the next day. Mm-hmm. Now, Grayson can't. He's got jiu-jitsu at 10 in the morning, which is nothing crazy. He can stay up a little late. But Sundays, school regiment. Like I said, you're in bed at 8:30. No later than 8:30, you're in your fucking bed, showered, ready to go to sleep, whatever. Now, that doesn't mean they're always sleeping, because I go in my room. It's not like I'm going to sit in their room with them until they close their eyes like I did when they were little. So I go in my room, and half the time I fall asleep. So I'm like, I don't know if they're up till 11 or they're sleeping at 9. I don't know. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I usually, as soon as I wake up, I always go in and check on them. But
you wake up on the floor, and they're looking at you like.
I'm a pretty chill dad. I'm pretty chill. And Jenny and I often talk, especially if there's a problem issue or something. Like the phone is a little bit of an issue with my daughter. She's a little obsessed with the phone, and we're on the same page.
How old is she?
She's 10.
Okay.
But I feel like she thinks she's 15. You know,
it's girls, dude.
It's girls. My son don't give a shit about the phone. You know what I mean? Especially my son is like loves jiu-jitsu, loves being on his dirt bike, loves being on his quad, loves fishing, loves being outdoor, loves camping. And if we're doing any of those, which we do a lot, man, my thing is be on the move. Do not be, if you rest, Frankie's saying, if you rest, you rust. If you're on that couch, you're rusting, right?
Yeah.
So be on the move, be on the go. I love outdoor shit. I love being active, doing stuff outdoor. So he's always game. Milani will sometimes be like, Dad, can I just stay home? And I'm like, no, you can't stay home. It's fucking beautiful out. It's a gorgeous day. Come on, let's go. But she's more into the phone than him. He doesn't give a shit about the phone. Half the time, you don't even know where he left it. You know what I mean? He doesn't even have full service on it. He's got to connect to my hotspot. She's fully plugged into the fucking Matrix.
Yeah, she's living
you know
life.
What I mean? So scary for me. You know what I mean? Because it's like unfettered access if you allow it. We've had to put some parental blocks on things because, you know, she's looking at things she shouldn't be looking at. But it's curiosity as a kid. I was the same way. If I had that as a kid, I would have been dangerous. I didn't have it. You know what I mean? So.
Dude, we had, you know, back in the day, we had like the little black box where you got like the free. You know, I wasn't watching ESPN on that thing. You know, I was trying to see some titties.
Twice, bro.
You didn't have if you didn't have it, you get the scrambled porn.
I saw titty, bro. I saw titty.
A nipple down here,
That's
like
it.
a leg up here.
Oh, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. You get that little split. It's like, man, like you'd get excited for a green tit. You're like, there it is. You're like, I'm good for life. But no, like my kids are at the age.
I'll go
right
back
now.
further than that, dude. I'll go back further than that. When you're a little kid, any titty will do. My grandmother used to have a
Wait, your
stack.
grandmother's tits, bro?
No,
Come on, dude. That's a little fucking much,
All right,
dude.
now you're being perverted, bro. Now you're being perverted. National,
you did say any titty.
National Geographic magazines. Where they'd be in some
fucking
tribe in Africa,
fucking
Ethiopian.
there'd be a titty down here, and you'd be a little kid like, oh, that's a titty. You know what I mean?
Dude, yeah. It's funny when you hit that age too, when you start realizing like, you know, you're horny.
Yep.
My he ain't gonna hear this shit. I was doing something.
Nobody listens to that.
Yeah, that's how I feel. When people are like, I hear your podcast, I'm like, you and like two other people.
Yeah.
But like I'm like talking to my son, like we're laying in bed, and he said something. He's like, ooh. Oh, we were watching a movie, and there's like a beach scene, and it just cuts to like the girls walking on the beach, and it's like their asses, they're in thongs. And my son out of nowhere goes, ooh, lady booties. And I look at him, I'm like, what did you say? And he gets red in the face, and he's like, no one look at me right now.
Yeah.
So now, like, you know, I'm trying to be a dad, and I'm laying in bed with him, talking to him in. I'm like, yo, bud, like, you like lady booties? He's like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, dude, I'm your dad. I was like, do you know who else likes lady booties? Daddy likes lady booties. I was like, and as you get older, you're going to like a lot more than just lady booties.
Exactly.
And he's like, you like lady booties? I'm like, yeah. He goes, I'm like, you like big lady booties or little ones? Yo, my man looks at me. He goes, B-I-G. I'm like,
shit, my kind of guy. My kind of guy.
I'm like, you're a pervert, dude. But no, going back to the bedtime, my kids need a bedtime because they're still so young. And the problem is like, once it gets past like that, like 9:30, my son is like incoherent to life. He no longer has any grasp on what's real. He's just like, he's like just running out there like a wild man. And then my daughter becomes like super emotional. She's like almost like dealing with like an emotional drunk. So now it's 9:30. She's like asking for shit she can't have, and we're like, yo, you can't have ice cream at 9:30. And she starts crying. She's like, I'm just tired. And I'm like, yo, put him to
That's
sleep.
women, bro. That's
Put
just
him to
women,
sleep.
I think,
Oh,
you
dude.
know? Yeah.
I was telling Frankie I was leaving the house, and my daughter questions me more than my wife.
That's great.
She's like, where are you going? I was like, Daddy's got to go do a podcast. She's like, you don't do your podcast tonight. And I was like, well, I gotta go. She's like, you're not going to the school? I was like, no. She's like, how far away is it? I was like, it's Juliana, leave me the fuck alone. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, mommy's not asking me questions. She's like, are you gonna be home late? I'm like, yeah, real late, way past your bedtime. She's just eyeing me like,
Those are actually though like pointed questions when they're about what, I don't know, 4 maybe. Everything is just why, Dad, why?
Yeah.
And God questions are the hardest ones to answer. You know what I mean? Like, where is God? Who is God? Why is God? You know what I mean? And you're like, why? I'm like, I don't know how to answer that.
Dude.
Everything is just why.
So I'm gonna tell you a quick story. So I'm laying in bed with my wife. It's like 5:45 in the morning, and my son comes barging in. You know, he's our alarm clock, and he starts out of nowhere. He's like, "Mommy, where do babies come from?"
Yeah. See?
And I'm right away. I'm like, "Yo, this is not my realm. Here's the expert right here, my beautiful wife." Like explain it to him. She goes, and I can see her fumbling a little bit. I'm like, uh oh, I might have to like jump in here and tell him the truth. And she's like, so babies live in mommy's bellies, and then, you know, they come out. And he's like, where? And she's like, they come out from the birth canal. And I'm like, birth? He doesn't know what the fuck. I'm watching her struggling. And I want to jump in, but I also kind of want to see her suffer a little bit right now because it's so early. And he's like, but where? So finally, after back and forth, my wife goes, they come out from where you pee. My son goes, what? I came out of a penis? So he runs out of the room. I look at my wife. I'm like, you fucked that one up real bad. She's like, I was not ready for that. Where were you? I was like, it's 5:45. This is your realm.
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, I'm going to tell him the truth. I'm like, I was like, you shot out of my nuts. I put you inside mommy. And then mommy pushed you out of her hoo-ha. Like, that's what happened. And then he's going to be like, but how did you get from daddy's nut? I'm like, that's buddy. Yeah. In the best possible way.
Yeah. Yeah, because you have all the innocent stories, right? Like all the fairy tale stuff, like the stork. They only buy that shit for so long, like you were delivered by a stork. Same with Santa Claus. Same with the Tooth Fairy. Same with the Easter Bunny. They're only subscribing to that shit for so long.
Yeah, we're hitting that with my son because he's 8. He came in one day and he was like real upset. Again, 5:45 in the morning. Yeah. So if anyone wants to know like what time I wake up, like you know how Jocko's got like the 4 a.m. Yeah. I got Benny 5:45. I know like and he's like, can I ask you guys a question? And this is probably like 3-4. That's probably like a month ago. And we're like, what's up, dude? He's like, is Santa Claus real?
Yeah, and how do you answer?
And we're like, right again, I look at the pro. I'm not jumping in on this because I'm going to get yelled at when he goes to therapy. And I tell my wife, I'm like, doesn't matter how good of a mom you are. He's going to go to therapy and it's going to be your fault. So just do what you got to do. Yes. She's like, well, what do you believe?
That's what I said.
He's like, I don't think he's real. Yeah. And she's like, why do you believe that? My man goes, I searched it on Google. Yeah. I'm like, hey, let me ask you this, buddy. Are you going to get presents on Christmas? He's like, yeah. I was like, you spend time with your family on Christmas? He's like, yeah. I was like, that's Christmas magic. Absolutely. I was like, Santa Claus is a part of the Christmas magic. Now stop destroying the magic and don't fuck this up for your sister. And then I'm like, if Juliana stops believing in Santa because of you, I'm burning all your presents. Shit, yeah. And then he leaves. My wife's like, do you know, every time you threaten to burn his presents, you're causing trauma. Yeah. I'm like, I think trauma's good. Yeah. I tell her, I'm like, I had trauma. She's like, and look at where we're at with that. Yeah. I was like, I think I'm doing pretty fucking well, but I believe a little bit of trauma, it's like salt. You got to put a little bit in there.
And I just like bullying. I think that I got bullied a little bit in high school, nothing crazy, but I think excessive bullying, bad. And a horrible thing.
That's a problem with the phones now.
Is good for everybody.
Yeah,
makes you figure out your character, figure out what's inside of you. You figure out that life ain't easy. That there's going to be tough people out there. There's going to be people that try you. There's going to be people that get in your face. Excessive bullying.
Is that why you got bullied?
No, I was a freshman. I can remember this one.
That's inside of you.
I was waiting for it.
The example with the girl when it was Central High School. Obviously, that's far excessive. Nobody deserves that sort of treatment.
Yeah, but there was also a lot involved with that.
There was.
Too.
We don't know the full story, but there was. We obviously, because we're locals, we hear a lot of things. But anybody who's getting bullied to the point where they're literally traumatized is totally in excess. Yeah. I don't think that's a good thing in any way, shape, or regard. I'm not encouraging that. But everybody, it's just a part of going mostly to high school.
And as long as it's it's safe. And the problem too is a lot of these kids who are doing the bullying, they got some other shit going on.
Absolutely.
Like right now, my kid's really into The Way of the Warrior Kid, the Jocko book, and we're on the second book right now. And in it, there's a bully. And I'm 40 years old, so as I'm reading this book with him, I'm like, sounds like that kid's got a pretty shitty life. And I said this to my son. I was like, I bet we're gonna find out that Nathan's life isn't so nice. And my son, like. He's growing up with mom and dad. Like I grew up with just my mom and my aunts. Like I didn't have my dad around, so I had to learn a lot of things just kind of watching TV and like my friends' dads. So my son's already at an advantage with having mom, dad. We're living in a house. Like he's got a lot of things, so he doesn't understand some of these things. And when he started reading it, he's like, "Dad, he's got like holes in his socks and holes in his shoes." I'm like, "Buddy, not everyone has what you have." And when people don't have certain things, they're so mad at life and the hands that they were dealt, they got to dish it out on someone. I was like, and sometimes the best way to deal with those people is just like kind of be nice to them, kind of befriend them. And, so my son's a sweet, innocent boy, but, he's learning it, he's learning it and trying to teach it. I tell my wife, once he's 14, I'm going to put him on the train at 1:00 in the morning. I'm going to take him to Penn Station and I'm just going to like dip and be like, survive, motherfucker.
See what you're made of.
Yeah.
I don't know about today's
Not
day
today.
and age.
Not New York today. Too much crazy shit's happening. But
So I worked as a train conductor and my sister's still out there. But when I worked, you went to New York and everyone, you'd go to the shops, you'd walk around, you do stuff. My sister tells me now, she's like, dude, after 8 o'clock, everyone goes into like, the conductor room. Nobody's out there. Nobody's walking around. Nobody's wandering in the streets.
It's a warm place to ride at night. So a lot of the homeless use it at nighttime because it doesn't have excessive traffic. They can get on there. They can go from, spot to spot. They can pee in the corner of the thing. It's an issue.
Peeing's the least of my dude. The things that I've seen in some of those like train stations, like especially like in New York Penn, dude. I would tell my wife some of the stories. She's like, "How does this not bother you?" I was like, "Because it happens every day. Like you just kind of get desensitized to it. Like even like when people get hit by trains, right? Most people they say like, "Oh my god!" Like you see it and it happens so often that after a while, the first thing you start asking is like, "Yo, who's got pictures?"
People film it now. People film.
Well, how about the guy that just fucking pushed that person right in the
right?
And the guy lived. The guy lived.
That's
crazy. You see that?
I know, but again, like if I'm in New York, I'm not standing anywhere near.
Dude,
the edge of that
I rode a train,
and I'm facing everybody. Like, come on, motherfucker, push me.
100%. I rode a train. I was not on my phone at all in the city.
No,
I am not being on
my head is on a swivel.
It has to be, dude. It's wild out there. It's dangerous.
I would never.
It's crazy because I remember being in like the early, no, not the early, but the 90s, the 90s, and I'd go up to the city with my friends. My parents were like, be careful, the city is so dangerous. And I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? It's not dangerous. Because in the early 90s, the 80s, it was dangerous.
Yeah.
And then by our time, it really wasn't dangerous at all. But now it's going back to that.
Yeah.
Well, it became, they shut down all like the little peepholes, all the little shows, and it became like real touristy.
Right.
Giuliani went in there and started, not everyone agreed with what he did.
Bloomberg,
but they cleaned it up, and now it's like, it's going back.
He cleaned up the homeless and he cleaned up the mob, basically, Giuliani. I mean, he's responsible for both of those things. But there was very low, number of homeless in New York by the time he was done, and now it's back to a heavy population.
It's back, man. It's brutal. You see it too. Like I remember when I was out there, you'd see homeless people nonstop, but like now it's like New York Penn has become like a shelter.
How about this? I see homeless people in Tom's River all the time.
You just talked about a lesson with your son reading a book, right? You talk about the person in it, and how. He's probably a bully because he didn't have the best life. You know what I mean? And that's a valuable lesson that you and your son had. Similarly, but real world experience. Me and my son ride quads a lot. Frankie comes with us quite a bit, and his son, local spot, and we ride out there all the time. He knows it really well. I don't get nervous when he's out of sight because he knows well how to get back. I don't let intentionally let that happen, but he knows. So we're riding in kind of a little bit of a new section where we built some trails, and he gets off his quad. We all get off, and we're just kind of hanging out. And I see this tent, but it's collapsed. It's not like an upright tent. It's like collapsed. And I'm like, oh, that wasn't here last time we were out here. And he's getting closer and closer to it, my son. And I'm watching it intently, and I see it move. I see this tent fucking move. And I'm like, I go, Grayson, get over here. You know what I mean? He's like, what, Dad? What? You know what I mean? I was like, get over here. And I walk over, and it's a homeless man in a tent, but he's using it almost like a sleeping bag.
Yeah.
He's got it wrapped around him. And his face is through the his face is behind the mesh, like the mosquito mesh of what would be like a window for it. And I walk over, I'm like, yo, my man, you all right? Because I didn't know if it was a dead body. I did see it move, so I kind of figured, but it was in the shape of a body as my son was getting closer. And immediately, like, my spidey senses were like, Grayson, get away from that, And this guy just starts saying, I don't do drugs. I don't do drugs. And I'm like, bro, I'm just making sure you're good. It was the fall. It was a little chilly out. He's like, no, I'm okay, man. I'm just down on my luck, whatever. I said, listen, bro, you were here first. We're going to leave you alone. You know what I mean? Like, this guy's obviously, he's got enough on his plate. You don't need us bothering him. And we were fairly deep in the woods. We weren't like, there wasn't like, fucking houses around or a road around. We were probably, I don't know, 1,000, 1,500 yards off any road. And so I said, get back on your quads. We'll ride over here and hang out. And we just jumped off to have a snack and drink some whatever. And I see this guy working his way through the woods. It's about 10 minutes went by, and he's coming towards us. And the kids are all like, because we were out there with it was me, another adult, and about 5 kids, all on quads. And the kids are like, Dad and Roger, the guy's coming. So I meet him. You know what I mean? I'm like, this dude's homeless. I don't know what's fucking going on.
Yeah.
And he's extending something in his hand to me, right? And I can't see when I get closer. I see it's a driver's license. So I go, bro, I'm not a cop. We're good. We're cool. I said, we came over here to leave you alone, bro. You were here first. You're good. He's like, I don't want you to think I'm a weirdo. I'm not a drug addict. I'm just down on my luck or whatever. My point is, I've used that experience with my son and my daughter who wasn't there, but she knows about it, to say you guys have no idea how blessed and lucky you are.
Yeah.
You are. Your life is so fucking blessed. You know what I mean? Their mom's does well for herself. They get to experience amazing things. They have a dad that's very involved in their life. And here's a man that's so down on his luck, he's sleeping in a dilapidated fucking tent in the woods. And Grayson often brings him up. He's like, Dad, do you think that man will still be there? I don't know. If he is, we'll go talk to him. You know what I mean? So
it's sad when you see that too, man. And unfortunately, like, I saw a lot of things on the train, and you know, it's hard not to think about how did this person end up here. I remember there was one day the trains were delayed for a long time, and it was because someone had died at one of the train stations. So they kind of got to, like, you know, treat it like a crime scene and everything. And when we get there, you know, the cops there, they got the body. I was like, dude, what happened? I was like, we had a homeless guy. He OD'd and then he froze overnight. And I remember when I heard that, I'm like, this guy used to be someone's kid. At one point, he was a kid that had dreams and hopes. And
he was not born homeless. He had a life at one point.
And then somehow, one wrong move here, you know, like, and that's for anyone, right? We're all that one wrong decision away one night where we're either sitting here on this couch having a podcast or we're in jail based on making a left or making a right. We're all right there. And this guy he spent his final night ODing, freezing in the cold. And it was New Year's Day. It was January 1st. I'll never forget this. I'm like, man, like, we're all right away. And I remember just thinking, like, about my kids. And I was like, my son, Benny, I think was only like 2 at the time. And I was like, man, if I just don't let him die alone freezing, I can do okay as a dad. And, you know, so I try to keep those lessons with me.
That man that passed away, and again, I do believe that there are things that are out of your control that can put you there. There's also a whole lot of things that are in your control.
Yeah.
And there are lots of left and right decision making in life, and you know, you make those wrong decisions, that will get you there faster, for sure. So a lot of it is life choice, but not all of it is life choice. A lot of, you know, people don't choose to get cancer, for example. You know what I mean? But you know, where was I going with this? Kind of lost my train of thought here.
Don't lose your train in front of the conductor, bro.
Yeah,
that's a problem. That's a problem.
True. Yeah, I forgot where I was going with this point here. So,
well, I mean, so you were talking about making lefts and rights, but I mean, I'll tell you another thing. Like,
I know what I was going to say. So that was
him right back. That's fucking good conductor right there. Found that train.
There you go. That was his lowest of low. That was his worst day, his last day, right? Yeah. What was his best day? What was his highest? You know, I'm so curious. I said to Frankie one time, because there are homeless people, and some of them we don't know personally, but we see them often, the same people. You know the bearded guy that's always drinking the coffee by the 7-Eleven. I said, dude, it would be so cool if they would allow it, which I'm sure many of them won't, because some of them, I'm sure, want to live very private lives and all. But if you could just have a 10, 20-minute conversation with them and talk about their life and how they ended up where they're at, because at one point they weren't there.
Well,
they probably had a successful life at one point, probably owned a home at one point, probably were married, probably had children, probably lived a life very similar to ours at one time. And where was that left where they should have gone right? And I think that would be interesting. You know what I mean?
I mean, I've actually had some of these conversations with people on the train, because you'll get a lot of like the homeless guys getting on the train, like, oh, I'm 50 cents short, and it's like, dude, like you start learning their names and shit, and you see them on your train all the time, and like you start talking to them, and sometimes they're really fucking high, and sometimes they're kind of with it, and then all of a sudden you stop seeing them, and you find out that they OD'd. But like, I've met guys who are like, listen, like I was married, I had kids, and then you know, I smoked crack one time. And then it's just one thing after another. Yeah. Then you lose your wife, you lose your kids, and then before you know it, you're just kind of living on your own. But, you know, I've even seen like kids that I went to high school with, and like I'll see them one day at one train station, and they're like, "Oh, I don't got a ticket, dude." I'm like, "I got you, bro." Then I see them like 6 months later. Then I see them a year later, and I'm like, "Damn, dude, like you're really going down that." And then, you know, next thing you know, there was one kid I'll never forget. The first time I gave him a free ride, I told my sister, I was like, "Yeah, I saw so-and-so on the train." She goes, "Yeah, he's not doing so well." Fast forward a year later, I see him at Rawway train station asking if we were going to like Long Branch. I was like, nah, dude, we're going to train. He goes, all right. And then as we're waiting, he's like walking around picking up like the cigarette butts, like so he can have something to smoke. And I'm like, damn, dude, like what fucking happened?
Do you remember the guy that was a famous guy, and I just recently, like in the last couple of weeks, saw like where are they now? Homeless dude that somebody pulled up in a car and said, "Hey, can you?" He did radio. He was on
the guy
radio.
with the voice,
the guy with the amazing voice.
Yeah,
and he became famous again.
Yes,
and he got successful, and they hired him for a Super Bowl commercial. He did Kraft macaroni and cheese commercial on the Super Bowl, and he like got some money back in his pocket. He was about 4 years to the good. Like got back with his family, went right back to drugs, and he's homeless again. That drug thing is such a. If you have that addictive personality, listen. I mean, I'll fully admit I've experimented in my life, you know what I mean, in my younger years, and I just don't think I have that.
With John, right?
Yeah. I don't think I have that addictive personality trait that some people do.
Right.
And if you have that and you make that choice to experiment, sometimes you never recover from that.
That's
and
a demon you're fighting your whole life.
An example who actually got his life back after living on the streets for probably
You ever
decades.
see the
got his life
podcast
back.
called Soft Underbelly?
Nah.
It's kind of what you're talking about. It's a guy that goes around and talks to people on death row.
Okay.
Skid Row, not death row.
Skid Row.
Skid Row, yeah, big difference there.
Yeah, Skid Row. So pretty much, people like
Down and out.
prostitutes, fucking bums, all these people, and it's called Soft Underbelly. It's a pretty good podcast.
There's another guy that has one, but I mean, kind of ground zero for Skid Row is where Eddie's from. What's that?
Oh,
town?
Kensington.
Kensington, PA, bro. That's like ground zero. They call them. What do they call the people that walk around like something zombies or something? They got a name for them where they literally like they
Dope
shape
fiend
shift.
lean, bro. They
The
do
dope fiend lean. Like I don't know how they stand, but they stay on 2 feet.
They
you see the
wobble
one?
and they never
Did you
fall,
see
bro.
the one where it's like it's a woman that's attractive? You ever see that one?
I don't think so.
She's like she must be brand new to this because she has brand new shoes, nice like tight fitting pants, like pretty attractive woman, and she's fucking doing that bend. It's fucking crazy.
They never fall, dude.
No.
Never. I've seen them on the train just zonked out.
I don't know.
Never fall.
Yeah.
And like now you can't use the phones on the trains, but like guys would record and be like, look at this shit. Like they're just, the sense of balance is amazing.
Yeah, right.
It's fucking crazy.
We're blessed, gentlemen. We're blessed.
Indeed.
All of us. We're all dads in this room. I think I can't speak for everybody. I've made some bad decisions. I've made that I've recovered from. I think I've made some good decisions, but I'm blessed to be in the position that I'm in, to have the children that I have, and now I'm in that driver's seat, that train conductor seat, where
baby.
I get to mold those.
I mean, you're friends with Frankie Edgar. I
That's
mean,
right.
it's not that
I
bad.
get to mold those. That's very true. That's very true. Get to mold those little humans into, or a part of, obviously, their mother's another part of it, their environment's a lot of part. We're all a little part of it, but I'm a part of molding 2 little humans into what they're going to become. And it's a big responsibility, but it's one I really enjoy.
It's a wild one too, man. Like you're responsible for human beings, and then you got to hope that the guy down the street didn't fuck up the ones he's raising, so they ruin yours.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you got to be nice to the neighbor too.
Yep.
I got like Indian neighbors, and bro, they like to drink. It's crazy. I went to my Indian neighbor's house across the street one time. He's like, "Oh, do you like to drink?" I was like, "I like bourbon, dude." He's like, "Oh, I have something for you." Trashed. It was a bad night. Yeah. I told my wife, I was like, "What happened?" She goes, "Well, you need to just." I was like, he kept filling it up. I was like, "Yo, bro, I'm good."
What
It
do you
was delicious.
what do you call an Indian guy?
Here we go.
That's been everywhere and seen everything.
What?
Been there, done that. Good. That's good.
Yeah, South Brunswick, a lot of Indian dudes. A lot of good Indian food.
Hell yeah.
They're all over the place.
Hell yeah.
It's spicy as shit, but I'm like, God damn. But yeah, they drink, dude. They
Yeah.
party.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Don't there like weddings are like days?
500
long or
people,
something like that?
3 days long.
Yeah.
Fucking $100,000 for like a small wedding. It's insane. Wow. Yeah. Like
I
whenever
went to an Indian wedding
How was-
recently.
Did you have to get dressed?
No, I didn't, but most of them, because it was kind of split. So my girlfriend's cousin married into an Indian family. So
Okay.
he's Italian, her side. So her side, it was literally like a 3-day celebration.
Yeah.
We went to the actual, the
Wedding.
Not the wedding itself, but the
Reception.
Reception. We went
Yeah.
to the reception, but it was, 3 days of partying to get up to that point. You
Yes.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I didn't
They got
realize
hennas
though,
and shit. They'll ride in on elephants.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
fucking
is
crazy.
most Indian food vegan?
I think a lot of it is.
Well, they don't
yeah.
eat cow. Not
Right.
for sure.
But there was no meat at this thing at all.
I think they
Zero.
ate chicken. They eat chicken, right?
I
There
think
was
the
no-
chicken's
there was
for
no
us.
chicken here.
Like if we go get chicken tikka masala, that's because they got to sell it to us. But I think a lot of their food is
It's
it's
all
mostly
beef.
vegetarian.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of
There was
beans, a lot
zero,
of rice,
zero chicken, fish.
a lot of tofu.
I'm good, bro.
Yeah.
But I'll get down with some chicken tikka.
Yeah. What is it?
I don't really
Curry-
fucking know. I know
curry
it tastes
chicken?
good. Yeah.
I need some meat, bro.
I didn't eat in my life. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know that.
I do.
Setting that one up out there. But no, man, it's true, and you gotta really capitalize on those moments where it's like this could be a teaching moment. You
Yeah.
could just let it die.
Yep.
But like even my son wrestles now. My daughter does dance, but my daughter's like, she's a girl, man. Like they're just so with it. Like my daughter makes me feel dumb sometimes because like she'll ask little questions. I'm like, dude, I don't like my wife will literally tell me what we have to do for the day. And like, let's say I gotta, pick up the kids from school, take Juliana to dance, and she goes, if you forget anything, Just ask Jew. She'll tell you all about it. And I'm like, but like I call my daughter Jew, which gets me in trouble a fucking lot, dude. Like we'll be, I'm like, yo, where's the Jew? Where's the Jew? And then I'm like, but my daughter's name is Juliana. I'm like, Juju, come over here. She's like, what do you want, Dad?
Yeah, today's day and age, that could get you in a lot of trouble.
A lot of trouble.
You get canceled immediately.
You'll lose your bank accounts. Ask Kanye. But yeah, dude, my daughter. So I try to like use some of the stuff that I learned from coaching and from when I was coach. You just kind of use like those parenting moments. But again, like I didn't have a dad, so I'm kind of learning on the fly and just kind of giving them like what I wish I had. So like my son wrestles. So after wrestling meets, I'm like, yo, 2 things you did well, 2 things you got to work on. And he'll give me 2 things, and then I give him a rundown. But the rule is once I start the car, we're done talking about it, dude. I'm not going to talk about it on the drive home. We're not going to talk about it. Because then you're going to hate that shit.
Yeah. Right.
And it's different when your dad's your coach.
I find that intriguing for guys that are athletes, like on you guys' level.
You're using that word very loosely.
Well,
on our level,
I'm
UFC
not.
champ, I lost 1 MMA fight. It's a different level.
But you've had 1 MMA fight. I've never had it. You know what I mean? And I feel like I'm pretty critical of my son because I want him to be good, and I know how he acts when he loses. He's not a sore loser. He'll always shake the opponent's hand, but he's hard on himself.
Yeah.
It's like I suck. I fucking suck. I'm like, bro, you don't suck. Like you can't win all the time. You know what I mean? But I find it intriguing to watch guys like you and like you have 2 boys or you have 3. Your daughter wrestles too. You know what I mean? And how critical. I think you're pretty easygoing for the most part. You're not too critical of your kids, and because how hard do you push them as a professional athlete?
Yeah.
What are your expectations? You know what I mean? I don't think you're too hard on your kids. You know what
I
mean?
just want effort out of my kids. I don't care about results.
Right.
Effort. Because if you put the effort in, the results come with it.
Right.
Yeah.
And wrestling is just it's wrestling or jiu-jitsu because they're both one-on-one sports or combat sports. They teach you more than any other sport. And I mean, obviously I'm biased because I do both of those things. And,
Nah, you're 100% right.
But I'm like, it's you out there. You're relying on no one. I mean, your fucking son's 8 years old going out there competing. That's very. It's a big thing to take on. You know what I mean? And all the stress and just the nervousness of it all is tough for a kid. And the fact they go out there and do that is awesome. And I just want my kids to give effort. And I tell them that all the time. Like, I tell my kid, I'm like, I don't give a fuck if you win 1 match ever. I'm going to love you no matter what. But effort matters to me. Effort matters to me.
Let's talk about something because we were at the bank today. And we talked about we had a lot of time at the bank today because they were dragging their feet on getting us set up. But anyway, so Frankie and I are just kind of bullshitting with this lady's on the phone trying to straighten our shit out. And we were talking about your son, and I said, what's your take on Demetrius Johnson? And I guess you told me it was old footage. I didn't know that because I just recently saw it. But he's in a jiu-jitsu match with a guy. And apparently this guy thought he had Demetrius's number, but he didn't.
Was this the big heavyweight guy that Demetrius choked out?
No, this was another little guy, Asian dude.
Okay.
Demetrius Johnson beat him, and the guy was super fucking like upset. Like, and Demetrius Johnson walks over to him and says, "Bro, listen, right? It's okay. This train harder. We'll do this again. You know what I mean? This is for fun." He kept saying, "This is for fun," and I said that to Frankie, and he goes, "Nah, I don't know about that." So to expand on that.
I get. Look, I get what Demetrius is saying, and he's right. In the bigger picture thing, it's supposed to be fun.
But
me as a competitor, losing ain't fucking fun, buddy. It ain't fun.
Right.
Losing ain't fun. I don't care what anybody says. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, and you competed, you did this, it doesn't matter. He's right. It doesn't matter. But in the moment, that's all that matters to me.
And I think it's like a psychological thing too, right? Like you got to know what to say to get them to go. So like my son, last week he had his first wrestling meet, and it was the first one. He got pinned, all 3. And now he's at the age where he's starting to realize, like, I got my ass kicked. So he's not talking when it's over. And I'm watching him, and then, like, this is the weird thing about having kids. Like, you start seeing things in yourself where I'm like, oh, no, don't do that. So he's not saying a fucking word. And he's just got, like, this puss on his face. We get in the car, and I'm like, how do you feel, dude? He's like, not good. I was like, you want to talk about it? He goes, no. I was like, we're not going to talk about it. But I'm just going to say this. It ain't jiu-jitsu. Stop going to your back. I told you in practice, every time you go to your back, even if it's just goofing off, you're teaching your body how to do it. You're creating a habit, and habits are going to be hard to break. But you already know that. You learned it today. Remember how you feel. Remember it next week. When we get home, I want that puss gone. It's done. Let's get over it. Goes out the next week. He wins his first match. He just runs over the kid. And he's like super excited. He goes, I was like, how do you feel? He goes, I'm good. I'm happy I won. I was like, good. Remember how I told you to forget about how you lost? Do me a favor. Forget about that win. I was like, because now you got to do it again. I was like, so it's over. I was like, you got to learn how to move on.
There you go.
I was like, nothing's permanent. And then with my guys, like, if my guys like do well, I'll let them know like, hey, good job. Let's bring you down. Especially like blue belts and purple belts. They win a super fight. They think like, they're the next fucking thing coming.
Ryan.
Yeah, they're the next Gordon. And it's like, we got to bring you down a notch. But when they lose, I can see when guys are too hard on themselves. And I'll wait a couple days before I start really like drilling into them in practice. Like, this is why that happened. But that next day, I'm like, dude, what was going to change if you won? I was like, let's think about it. In the grand scheme of things, what was going to change? You were going to get a couple more likes on Instagram. You were going to change your profile picture. I was like, you're not ending communism. You're not ending wars. You're not ending hunger. It doesn't mean shit. And then like 2 days later, I'll be like, this is why you got your fucking back taken and you got choked out. But in that moment, it's balancing that psychology of how do I get you to come off the edge and then we can just start going forward again. Right. So it's a balancing act. Everyone's coaching style is different. Mine is more like care and to get you there. Some guys, are like more hard, they're more on your ass. Some guys fucking like helicopter coaches. They're checking your Instagram. They're like, oh, you weren't at training today and you're doing this. Tom would get on your ass for that shit. Like if you told Tom like, oh, I can't train tonight, I gotta do this, and you posted on Instagram like you're at a bar, he'd be like, oh, motherfucker, this is why you're not getting results. This is why you're not. And like, so like I told my guys, like my guys go down to Tom's. They'll go down there and train because, part of the Tom to Blast Association. Like I'm not, like I learned from Tom. I want my students to learn the same. I tell them like, listen, if you motherfuckers skip training, don't you dare post anything on Instagram. Because if he attacks you, he's then going to attack me. And be like, this is how you got your guys doing whatever the fuck they want. But, they got to be held accountable. If you have dreams, you have goals. I had a student the other day. It's probably, when I say the other day, I mean anything time between like yesterday and like 6 years ago. And he took second at a tournament. And I was like, yo, man, good job. He goes, yeah, I'm just tired of losing in the finals. I want to get a gold medal. And I turned around and I was like, I think you're getting the results you deserve. And he looked at me. He goes, what do you mean? I was like, well, let's talk about it. I was like, you train your ass off. I was like, but what do you do on the weekends? And he goes, well, I was like, you're having a good time. I was like, you're having fun. You're enjoying life. That's great. I'm not going to tell you that that's wrong. Go do that. But then don't get mad when the other kids are winning.
Well, you can't be both guy.
Nah.
Right.
You can't have one foot in, one foot out. It's like if you really want to do something great, your life has to suck for a little bit. And you got to like struggle. You got to be broke. You got to be asking your teammates if they can pay for your meal because you're not doing shit. You got to live it. You can't do it half-assed. Yeah. Whether it's jiu-jitsu, wrestling, football, fucking MMA especially. Like you're going to get hurt. You've got to commit to it 100% or just don't do it at all.
And there's also those people, which you see with MMA guys, we can name off a bunch, that are really, really good. And they do put in a lot of time and a lot of effort. And then they get a little fame. And then they're like, oh, girls like me. Oh, shit, there's this club wants to. And then they kind of lose they lose their focus a little bit.
Drugs and pussy, baby. They'll take you off the rails real quick.
Exactly. So, yeah.
That's why it's good to be ugly. Just fucking,
Well, I got a theory about that.
Go ahead.
No, I talked to you about this. What did I tell you?
I don't know. It's going to be some joke.
No, not a joke. Not a joke.
All right, go ahead.
I'm just saying, you don't have to be good looking to be a dude. You just have to be not ugly.
Yeah.
If you're not ugly as a dude, you could pull pretty much anything.
You did say
we've been pretty much pull anything.
You don't have to be look good looking. Just don't be ugly.
You can't be ugly.
Obviously,
if you're ugly, I feel for you.
Well,
if you're ugly, you better be packing.
You better have some money.
You better be packing
money,
a wallet, or in your pants.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Or be a comedian.
You can be.
That's true.
Right?
Not,
that's true. You make them laugh, you can drop the
for
pants.
sure.
We know people like this. You can be not the best looking dude, but be extremely confident, and chicks are attracted. A fictional character, obviously, but Tony Soprano, not the best looking guy, but extremely confident, and chicks are drawn to confidence. You know what I mean?
That's true.
They are.
I mean, power.
And he had that power.
Power,
chasing that
confidence.
clout.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a skill that's slowly going away. People don't know how to speak
because of technology.
It's wild.
Yep.
It's wild. And
kids.
I see it at work, man. People come in for job interviews and they start talking. I'm like, yo, did you ever take a speech class? Right. Like, I'm convinced that I've done half the shit that I've been able to do because I know how to articulate my words and my thoughts and talk to someone, have a conversation. They're like, oh, you're not a total idiot. Yeah, come to ADCC World.
We often
These young
say,
kids are. It's. You're seeing it.
Yeah, it's Sigma. It's sus.
We
It's
often
sus.
say that for us, the podcast has helped us with that. I don't know that I was the best talk. I'm, the best, but I'm very comfortable now speaking with just about anybody.
Yeah.
I think the podcast helps with that. You know what I mean?
So do you ever listen to your own episodes?
Rarely.
You used to, right?
Yeah.
So when I first started doing mine, I would listen to it. Not because like I wanted to hear myself speak, but because I wanted to hear myself speak.
Right.
Like even tonight, we just posted our first episode in 4 months, and I wanted to hear the first couple minutes, and I'm like, man, why am I talking so fast? And I'm like, I better slow this shit down before I get on with Frankie and Roger. And then I realized that I had it set to like 1.2 speed, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right. I'm like, I was like, yeah. I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, what drugs did I take? But it's good to always analyze and critique what you're doing and try to get better. It's good to, and when you're, especially with something like this, when you're speaking, you can go back and watch the tape.
I also think that humility is, very important. Like, be able to make fun of yourself. You know what I mean? If you take life too serious and you can't make fun of yourself or have your podcast partner rip on you the entire podcast, you're taking life way too serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was telling Frankie when I got here, I was like, bro, you should have seen me trying to get dressed today. I was like, I gotta make sure I'm actually at my house, and I'm like sitting on the couch, and I'm like moving around, and my wife's like, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, what the fuck you think I'm doing? She's like, are you practicing how you're gonna say? I'm like, babe, there's gonna be fucking cameras. I gotta make sure I look good.
Give us one of these with the hair.
I gotta get in like the 4-point stance and just like throw it back. They go nuts. They love it.
That's great, man.
My
That's
wife's like,
fucking
Jesus
great.
Christ.
I wish
She's
I
like,
had the hair like that.
Well, you will be soon.
Yeah, well,
you will.
I don't know if it'll look like that, but this guy had the same opportunity. Right, we both got approached by these turkey companies or whatever, and like, hey, listen, you know what I mean? We had to do the pictures, like to submit. He sends me his. I'm like, bro, get the fucking best. I would die for your hair. You got the best fucking head of hair I've ever seen. You know what I mean? I'm like, look at this cotton candy hair I got over here.
I think Frankie should bring back the fro.
Yeah, bro,
I liked it.
I
was a fan of
that photo a lot. They use that photo a lot. You only had that for the fight against.
There it is.
Yes,
Look at that.
They use it a lot.
Dude, you had it for like one fight,
the Mexican
and then
kid, right?
every fight after that, it was like your
They
little like
used
the
it.
cutout picture
They
was
used
that
it.
one. I was like,
Yes.
dude, like what are we? But
They like me with the locks.
it's a good look, man.
Listen, if
gotta
I
have
could grow hair like that, I would.
Yeah,
You know?
I always had short hair too. Like I used to, I had like the faux hawk for a long time. Jersey kid.
I did that.
Can't
do it anymore.
Yeah, square toe diesels.
Yeah.
1MX shirt. Lucky Brand jeans. the typical like douchebag look. 20-year-old Jersey kid.
Absolutely.
Then I did like the hard part, and then what happened was COVID hit, and
Couldn't get a haircut.
couldn't get my dude. So another story, I needed a haircut, and I tell my wife, grab some clippers. Let's do. I wanted to do the Vaughn, the Wild Man from Major League.
Yeah.
So I'm telling my wife, I'm like, yo, just cut it like a V.
Kinda have that a little
cut
bit,
it like
yeah.
a V. And she's like, what do you mean like a V? I'm like, make it look like a V. She's like, well, I'm trying to make. What do you mean a V? I'm like, the fucking letter V, Steph. You can't make. Dude, it was fucking awful. I was like, I don't know how you messed this up, babe. So there was nothing to do. So I'm like teaching Zoom classes, and then I was watching a lot. There's this Frank Grillo show, Kingdom. I don't know if you ever seen it.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it was actually well done. At first, I was like, it's got the one Jonas kid. I'm like, how good could it be? And then I watched it. I was like, oh shit, like these guys knew what the fuck they're talking about. But Frank Grillo had like the fade and like throwing it back, so it was long on top. And I told my wife, I was like, my hair is long enough that I can do that now. And I've never had my hair long. I tried to grow it out once, and I wanted to look like Bradley Cooper, and I ended up looking like George Lopez. And I was like, nah, it's got to go. It's not going to go
He
too
looks
well.
like a wild man these days.
Bro, he's
great
insane.
big gnarly beard now.
Yeah, he's like hating on the young up and coming comics. It's crazy.
yeah,
When you see that window closing, you're like, fuck them.
Yeah.
So I started to grow it out, and then I like missed a haircut, and it started to get like really long in the back. And I told my wife, I was like, I think I can like, pull off the Momoa look. And so I went that route, and then it just got really long. And then Morgan Whalen came out, and everyone had like, and then like COVID happened. I went straight MAGA, dude. I bought a fuking pickup truck. I started wearing flannel. I got Zins. I started buying guns. I'm like, I started calling people brother and shit. like it gets bad. I started watching Yellowstone, like drinking bourbon. I'd be like, babe, we're gonna move to Montana. We're gonna make this shit work. So I just went like straight hardcore redneck. And then I was like, I'm going to get myself a fucking mullet. So I went to go to the barbershop. I came home, and my wife's like, what the fuck did you do? I was like, I went straight mullet, baby. She's like, well, that's an interesting look. But, a lot of people liked it, and yeah, it stuck. So now I just can't cut it.
That's awesome, man. Party in the back, business in the front, right?
Yeah, dude, it's a good time. Plus, like, especially with COVID, I feel like when that happened, everyone just kind of realized like how it's all an illusion. All your success, everything, it can go away literally overnight. So I had a small 1,500 square foot school, right? We outgrew it in 9 months. So 9 months later, I'm signing a lease for a 3,000 square foot space. Like I paid back most of the loans. It got to the point where I probably could have started paying myself a significant amount and leave my job. But I like to double down, and I'm like, so I told my wife, I was like, what do you want to do?
Too, health benefits help.
She was like, it's fucking, I can't complain. That $5 copay kind of keeps you there
Exactly.
for a little bit. So I told my wife, I was like, what should I do? She's like, fuck it, double down. So we move into this 3,000 square foot facility. I dump all this money into it. We have our grand opening January 17th, and then literally 7 weeks later, everything's shut down. So I started telling that's really when I started being like, man, I just want to fucking be me. And just I don't want to be Professor Miguel. I don't want to be Jiu-Jitsu Miguel. I just want to be me. And that's when the podcast started. The long hair started growing. I started being me. My co-host Roy, 60-year-old Jewish guy, he calls it breathing through your balls. So, and that's really what the podcast is. It's me, a 40-year-old Puerto Rican kid, and my 60-year-old Jewish student. And it's I'm his instructor on the mats, but once we're off the mats, I'm like, dude, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing in life. You paid off your house, you were retired, you got money in the bank, you got your kids raised, help me off the mats. He just got his black belt too. But it just made everyone realize, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we trying to live for? And I think that's when you started seeing a lot of shift where people are I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to let the government tell me what to do here. I'm going to start paying attention to what the fuck you're doing. Celebrity disappeared. It's I don't care if you make fucking movies. You ain't that guy. Yeah. You're locked in your house in California.
It was a point at which everybody drew their line in the sand.
Yeah.
You had to stand for something at that point.
Yes,
you
100%.
You knew where you stood. You know what I mean? Before that, even me, and I've considered myself to be, I've voted ever since I was old enough to vote, but I didn't, I was always open to I don't know, maybe that person's all right. COVID made me draw a fucking hard line in the sand. I knew exactly where I stood. And I knew what hill I was willing to die on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They showed their cards. They showed their cards, and they fucked up by doing it, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now they woke up a whole bunch of people.
Sleeping giants.
Yeah, and a lot of things happen. I think underestimation of social media and the internet. People didn't understand, or at least, these old heads in the government didn't understand, hey, all this information is going to get out. People are going to figure it out. And the form of media changed. And I think we saw that with this election where it was clear as day where going on Fox News, going on CNN, that didn't mean shit anymore.
We don't want to see.
We don't want to see that. Especially now where you have these open platforms, these open forums, you got Rogan, you got, the Champ and the Tramp. You can sit down for an hour, 2, 3 hours and really get to know someone. Not answering questions that you picked that you're going to answer. Who the fuck are you?
Not showing fake polls.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
fake poll. Who the fuck answers those polls?
Exactly.
No one ever asked me who I was voting for.
Correct.
I mean, they could just listen to the Tapping In podcast and they'd figure it out. We're pretty conservative. Well, I don't even want to say conservative. We're just
clearly most of America is. Now we know.
Dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm so curious the next election. Obviously I don't want to get ahead of myself because we got the next 4 to hopefully look forward to.
Let's make it to next Monday.
For sure. Exactly. Is celebrity endorsements done? Because it should be. It don't fucking matter. It couldn't have been
celebrity endorsements on both sides, though.
It couldn't have, not really. Never like the left, bro. Never on that side.
What are you talking about, though?
Hulk
Hogan came out.
They spent
fucking
Dana
White came out.
Bro.
No, I know they did a lot more, but
billion.
they're fucking both. Everybody's putting celebrities out. It's been forever.
Okay,
but look at the level of celebrity.
Is this thing? I always move this thing and it cuts
You're
out.
good.
Okay,
you're good.
But they spent that much money, right? They actually went fucking $1 million or how much was it in the hole?
20 million. Trump offered to pay
million,
it.
Yes.
He's like, I'll
but
pay the
it didn't
tab.
make a difference.
No.
So do they do that again next time? Didn't make a difference.
Yes.
They do. You think they do?
It's broken. They're broken.
Yeah, I'm with Frankie. I don't think they realize that playbook's old. They're like that old high school football coach that still wants to run the wishbone. It's bro, you got to throw the ball. Forward pass now exists. You got to start doing some different shit. You see it with jiu-jitsu, you see it with wrestling. So many people, there's still schools that don't want to teach heel hooks. It's that those days are done, dude. You got to evolve. They're still playing with an old playbook. And I think with the Republican Party, they kind of kept their ear to the streets and were yo, we've got to make adjustments. And you see it with you got Elon Musk from South Africa hanging out with Trump. You've got Vivek. You got Tulsi Gabbard, who I fucking love. You know,
too.
she's probably not the most appropriate ways, but something about her like really gets my blood boiling. But they're adjusting. Then you look over at the Democrat Party. It's like it's the same fucking story. It's the same characters. Right. Like we're ready to rewrite the script.
And my thing is, and some of the people that have endorsed that side, I was a big fan of, and I wouldn't say that I never have ever been like that vocal person, like fuck them or nothing. I just like silently unfollow. They don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't need to hear it. I think we're at least fair in this. Like, people know who we side with, but I've never endorsed anybody. I've never been saying, like, you should vote for it, and here's why. I just speak my mind. This is how I feel.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why I feel that way. But I don't give a fuck who you vote for. I have people in my family that vote the exact opposite I do. I love them to death. We live in America. You should be able to make that decision. That is your right as an American to vote for whoever you want. I'm not trying to influence you. If you'd like to talk to me, and have a civil conversation / debate,
right,
I will do that with you. I'll be happy to do that with you. But as long as it's civil, I don't want to go to war with my family over something that's they have the right to feel the way they do. So I'm not endorsing anybody. I just feel how I want. And if you're interested, you can tune into Champ and the Tramp and hear why. You know what I mean? Yeah. But these people, these celebrities, endorse. You know what I mean? Like I got
they're
pissed.
getting paid.
They're getting paid.
Pissed when
they're getting sponsored to
when
endorse.
The Rock Johnson, who I love, came out and said in 2016, I am hereby officially endorsing, Joe
Biden,
and not
Kamala.
and Kamala. No,
was that Hillary?
Yeah,
2016.
No, Kamala. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Joe Biden and Kamala, 2020.
because 2020. I'm sorry, I was a little off there because I sat down with them. You know what I mean? You didn't sit down with the other side. You know what I mean? You didn't sit down with the other side.
He was real quiet when 2024
came
down.
He came on Rogan and sort of backtracked a little bit.
He said, "I'm not endorsing anybody."
Yes, exactly.
Which to me tells me, I got you.
That means who you're endorsing,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
I got you.
Right.
You're trying to keep your jobs. I get it, bro.
Right.
You want to be in that next Jumanji. I get it. It's a big
Yeah,
paycheck. You can't bite the hand that feeds you. But I'm the same way, man. Like, I'm going to tell you how I feel. You don't have to agree with it. Yeah. But like my family knows, man. Like for Christmas, I got a pair of Trump socks. I was gonna wear them tonight. Like it's actually got the hair. It comes with a little comb. So I got that. And like my family gets on me for it a little bit, But I'm like, listen, like
right.
I ran a business and worked for the state during COVID. So don't tell me how shit's going because I saw it on both ends. And I'm gonna tell you right now, that shit was not even.
Amen.
Not even at all.
Amen. Amen.
I had to do certain things at the business, but if I tried doing it at work, it's like, oh, you're not allowed to do that. I'm like, wait, what?
Right.
I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
Right.
Yep.
And it's all exposed because now you got social media, you got cameras everywhere. You can't hide it anymore.
Right.
You gotta.
I do agree with you that these independents, you know what I mean, the Candace Owens, and they have them on their side too, I guess. But that made the difference. That is the new media. That is the new. People do not tune into mainstream media now. They don't. They're not interested because it's
purchased
editorials.
Yeah.
It's not news. It is not news. You know what I mean? And people have that option now. You know what I mean? And obviously they tried their hardest. If you saw, obviously Rogan just had on
Zuckerberg,
and he said, we got literally yelled at by the Biden administration. We literally yelled at. Said, you need to take that down. You know what I mean? That is incredible to me. Bro,
I had one of my students today told me he got banned on Instagram.
Oh, I know. Probably 100 people.
Because he was talking shit about the fires in L.A.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, I thought this guy just said he wasn't fucking banning people no more.
Right.
Yeah, that's still happening. It's not January 20th yet.
Nah, it's true.
But and that's the other thing. Like with these last 4 years, especially, like. In the 60s and 70s, people always had conspiracy theories, right? We didn't land on the moon, who shot JFK, and the shit never got solved. But now you're watching it in real time coming out. Yep. And you start feeling crazy because you're like, I said this to you 2 years ago, and now it's coming out. And some people still don't want to believe it. Mm-hmm. They're like, well, I'm still going to get my booster. I'm like, what? They just told you don't do it. Yeah. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to lie. I got the J&J. I fell for it. I'm
like,
fuck, I got it. You know what's crazy? I got the J&J one, and the next day they took it off the shelf.
So listen.
I was like, I'm going to die. This is it.
Not judging in any way. Can you talk about that a little bit? Why did you do that? Because we all were at a point, I think everybody was like, you had to be like, man, should I get that? And you had to think about it. You had to really, figure out like the pros and cons to it. You know what I mean? Do you regret it?
Do I regret it? I'm not gonna say I regret it because I did it.
Right.
I gotta live with my choice. But the reason that I did it is because I had the school at the time.
Right.
And if Tim Jones gets COVID, you just say, hey, buddy, don't train for a couple weeks, disappear. You can keep, because everyone was so scared to train, right? Especially like, I was in a town in Montgomery where everyone's like, they're very like, conservative with that shit. You can hide a student who has it, but when you're the only coach and now Professor Miguel's not there for 2 weeks and I'm telling everyone how safe it is to train, but I get it. Now all of a sudden it's not so safe. So I was like, let me get the J&J.
But in that same,
and I got it anyway. I was like, fuck.
But in that same theory, you got to get the follow-up 5 boosters after that, right?
Nah.
Oh, no, that's right. The J&J was the difference. Yeah.
Nah, even with that, I wasn't getting any more. I did one. I was like, we're good. I got this. We're done. We're done. I did, I did the, like what did Chappelle did? I got the vaccine-ish. It was one shot.
Yeah.
But even, and I took my sister with me, and she's like, if I die, I was like, it's your fault. I was like, we're going to be all right. We're just, maybe don't smoke cigarettes. I was like, don't give your heart extra stress.
Again, though, comes down to your choice. That was your choice.
Yeah, that was my choice,
I wouldn't
man.
rob somebody's choice. I feel like I should not be forced, though. You know what I mean? Especially if it's your choice, I'm not endangering you. You got the shot.
Well,
Right?
I mean, not for nothing. Look what's happening in L.A. 3 years ago, they laid off like 148 firefighters, was it? Because they didn't want to get the vaccine, and a lot of them left. So now you kind of need them. And
They did it with the military, and then they hired them all back. They did it with the Delta pilots, right? They hired them all back.
I think NYPD did it as well.
Maybe NYPD, right? It's crazy.
Throw them some back pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But that was insane that you were getting forced, showing a vaccine card to go into a restaurant. What are you doing?
That side will claim you weren't forced.
I know.
You were all but forced.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All
Lose
but.
your job. That's pretty much forced.
Right.
I gotta pee, guys.
Yes.
You want to wrap?
Sure.
Let's wrap it up.
Wrap. Yo,
Guys,
guys.
thanks for having me.
Well,
You got to sign the
fucking
board.
blessed.
Appreciate you.
Got to
Definitely.
sign the board,
I'm
my
definitely
man.
sign it.
Got to get a pick.
You guys ever gone out on that surfboard? Like actually ride it?
Negative. Nope. We're posers.
definitely
Real
sign it.
quick, before we wrap, before this guy takes off, where can people find you? People want to
School, podcast.
in your area want to look into your school.
You can find me all on Instagram at prof_Miguel BJJ. The school is Montgomery BJJ. Podcast is Tapping In Podcast.
With a G.
With a G. It's like tapping _in _podcast. And, catch me at any ADCC Open and definitely watch me on 1FC on Amazon Prime next Friday.
Let's go. Let's go. Appreciate having
Appreciate
you on, brother.
guys.
What's up, guys? Make sure you follow us on your favorite podcast platforms. You can find the links in the description below. And if you've enjoyed this episode, hit that like button and share it with a friend. Your support keeps us growing.